As you drift between wakefulness and dreams, let these words weave around you like a soft blanket. They carry the wisdom of mindful presence, of compassion turned inward, and of silent resilience that tests neither muscle nor wart, but unfolds naturally in the very act of letting go. No rush, no striving, only a gentle unearthing of the courage you already hold, waiting to be recognized. Imagine a lantern in the dark, its flame unwavering against every gust. That lantern is you, a source of light and warmth. And like the lantern, your inner strength can burn steadily, guiding you even when you feel surrounded by uncertainty. Here, you will discover ancient teachings that have helped seekers for centuries to tend that flame, to coax it into a steady glow that illuminates the path ahead. Close your eyes and feel the gentle rhythm of your breath. Let the world around you fade as you sink deeper into the soft cradle of your mattress. In the stillness of this moment, you are invited on a journey, one that travels inward, beyond the chatter of the mind, toward a place of quiet power nestled at the heart of your being. Allow each phrase to land softly, like a drop of water rippling through a calm lake, reaching every corner of your consciousness. In this space between breaths, you'll learn how to stand firm amidst life's storms, how to anchor yourself in the here and now, and how to cultivate a peaceful strength that whispers, "You are more than enough." Tonight, let these ancient echoes of mindfulness be your lullaby, guiding you toward a rest that not only refreshes your body, but fortifies your spirit. Chapter 1. Kindling the Lamp of Presence. Close your eyes and imagine the faint glow of a single lamp in a vast, dark hall. At first, the darkness seems to swallow every detail of the space around you, until that small flame pierces the void with its quiet assurance. That lamp is your own awareness. Fragile, perhaps, but infinitely capable of expanding its light if only tended with care. In this chapter, we begin by learning how to nurture that light, how to turn what feels like a flicker into a steady flame that warms the depths of your being even as you drift between wakefulness and sleep. When you first lay down, the mind often fires off like a startled bird, flitting between memories, worries, plans, hopes, and regrets. It can be exhausting simply to witness its flurry of activity. Yet, in Buddhist practice, we are taught that this very restlessness is not an enemy to be vanquished by force, but a teacher whose messages can guide us toward deeper insight. The first step, then, is not to suppress thoughts or chase after tranquility, but to cultivate a posture of gentle attention, observing each thought and sensation as it arises, without judgment or grasping. As you soften your focus on the breath, you may become aware of other sensations: a subtle pressure at the base of your skull, a gentle warmth in your hands, the faint hum of ambient sounds. This broadened awareness is like opening windows in that dark hall, inviting a breeze of spaciousness to circulate through. You begin to recognize that the mind is not a single monolithic entity, but a network of experiences, sensations, images, sounds, and emotions, each rising and passing like clouds across the sky of consciousness. Feel the surface beneath you, the curve of your mattress, the support of your pillow, the texture of your sheets. Let your awareness settle into the physical, noticing the rise and fall of your chest with each breath. There is a natural rhythm here, an unending cycle of inhalation and exhalation that requires no effort beyond allowing it to unfold. In Buddhist teachings, this breath is often called the anchor of the present. By returning your attention to it again and again, you train yourself to remain grounded in the here and now, rather than being carried off by distant thoughts or future anxieties. It is precisely this impermanent flow that Buddhism invites us to observe with curiosity, rather than fear. Just as a wave emerges from the ocean and eventually dissolves back into it, our thoughts and feelings arise from the nether expanse of awareness and then recede. By watching them without clinging, we learn the profound lesson that we are not our thoughts. We are the silent presence in which they appear and disappear. This realization plants the seed of inner freedom. For when we stop identifying so completely with the contents of the mind, we discover the unshakable stillness that underlies every moment. Yet, simply noticing impermanence is not enough to kindle lasting inner strength. We also need to cultivate the heart's resilience, an ability to meet the turbulence of life with openness rather than resistance. To do this, the Buddha taught the practice of loving kindness, or metta, which begins by directing warm, caring thoughts toward oneself. As you lie in stillness, imagine your chest as a home for your own well-being. Silently repeat phrases that embody goodwill. May I be safe. May I be peaceful. May I awaken to my own inner strength. Feel the warmth these intentions generate, like embers glowing beneath gentle coals. Allow that feeling to grow, spreading outward from your chest to the rest of your body, your arms, your legs, the tips of your fingers and toes. Notice how softening into compassion toward yourself fosters a sense of safety, a sense that you are not alone in the landscape of your mind. In Buddhist thought, this kindness is like the oil poured into the lamp's reservoir. It fuels the flame of awareness, so it can burn more brightly, illuminating even the hidden corners of our thoughts and emotions. As thoughts about the past or future arise, and they will, greet them as you might greet a visitor at the door. You might notice a thought of regret, tinged with self-criticism. Instead of pushing it away, acknowledge it. Here is regret. Then, with the same warmth you directed toward yourself earlier, extend compassion to that regret. May this regret find peace. You may discover that by treating difficult emotions with kindness, they lose their sharp edges and integrate into the fabric of awareness, no longer threatening to unsettle your equilibrium. With this foundation of mindfulness and loving kindness, we can begin to explore the deeper currents of our psyche that often lie buried beneath layers of habitual thinking. In moments of stress, we habitually tighten the muscles of the face, the shoulders, the jaw, holding tension as though it will somehow provide protection. Bring your attention to any areas of tightness. Breathe into them. Let the in-breath soften the contracted muscles, and the out-breath release whatever you've been holding. This simple cycle of noticing and releasing mirrors the deeper cycle of letting go that leads to genuine courage, the courage to face what is, rather than build walls against it. In this practice, patience becomes a central quality. Patience is not passive submission to circumstances, but an active willingness to remain present with what arises, trusting that over time, the steady light of awareness and compassion will transform the landscape of the mind. Just as a potter shapes clay by repeatedly pressing and smoothing, we shape our habit patterns through persistent kindness and attention. To support this practice as you drift towards sleep, you might choose to anchor your attention on a single word or phrase, a mantra that encapsulates the essence of presence and strength. For example, on the in-breath, silently say, "I am here," and on the out-breath, "I am strong." Allow these words to accompany each cycle of breath, weaving themselves into the tapestry of your awareness. Over time, the mantra becomes more than a mental device. It transforms into a felt sense of stability, a quiet declaration of your own inherent resilience. As you settle more deeply into this rhythm, you may notice subtle shifts. A moment of clarity when a persistent worry dissolves into peaceful space. A gentle uplift in mood when you greet each breath as an opportunity to return home to yourself. A quiet confidence that arises simply from practicing presence. These awakenings are like small lanterns, lighting up the dark hall, revealing hidden doorways and corridors you never knew existed. Each moment of insight, no matter how fleeting, confirms that the inner lamp is indeed growing stronger. In the stillness between your thoughts, there is a realm of pure awareness, vast, unconditioned, untouched by the shifting patterns of the mind. When the fluttering of thought subsides even briefly, you glimpse this domain, and in that glimpse, you recognize the heart of true awakening. It is neither distant nor exotic. It is the very essence of your own being, accessible here and now, The lamp has been lit. By practicing in this way, you cultivate a continuity of mindfulness that bridges sleep and waking life. The lamp of presence no longer flickers only during formal meditation, but remains a light throughout your night's rest, infusing your dreams with clarity and compassion. You awaken in the morning with a quiet confidence, as though you have traveled within and discovered a treasure chest of inner resources. This discovery, the lamp that never dims, is the first milestone on our journey toward unshakable strength. As you surrender to sleep, let the warmth of mindfulness and loving kindness remain with you. Imagine the lamp's flame glowing softly in the center of your chest, its light permeating every corner of your awareness. This flame need not be guarded or protected. It is sustained by the simple act of returning to presence with an open heart. In the moments just before you sleep, trust that this gentle vigilance will continue its work, guiding you toward deeper rest and carrying the energy of inner strength into your dream. Throughout the night, you may find yourself stirred by dreams, bodily discomfort, or shifting thoughts. Whenever you notice these ripples, use them as invitations to awaken, just enough to touch the lamp once more. Breathe gently, repeat your mantra if you wish, and feel the reassuring glow at the center of your being. There is no need to resist the dream, nor to become entangled in it. Simply hold the light steadily, allowing whatever arises to move through the open space of awareness. As you carry this practice forward, remember that each night offers the opportunity to deepen your familiarity with the lamp's glow. There will be nights when the mind feels particularly turbulent, when the darkness seems all-encompassing. Those are the nights when your simple acts of attention and kindness matter most. Just as a lighthouse stands firm amidst crashing waves, so too does your lamp shine brightest when challenged by stormy currents of thought and emotion. In the chapters to come, we will explore additional teachings, techniques for working with fear, methods to cultivate wise discernment, and reflections on the nature of resilience itself. But always we return to this foundation, the practice of mindful presence and loving kindness. As we drift towards sleep, here, in the silent threshold between night and day, we kindle the lamp of our true nature, and there is no force in the world that can extinguish it. Now gently allow your breath to flow without effort. Feel the lamp's steady warmth spread through your chest, filling you with a quiet strength that needs no words. Rest in that warmth. Let it carry you into dreams, into deeper rest, and into the dawn of a mind awakened. The lamp is lit. Continue to tend it with kindness and attention each night, and you will discover in time that the light you thought so small has the power to illuminate the entire horizon of your life. Chapter 2. Embracing the River of Change. Flowing beneath the still surface of awareness is the great river of impermanence, the constant current of change that shapes every moment of our lives. In Buddhist wisdom, this ceaseless movement is called anicca, reminding us that nothing abides forever, that all phenomena rise and fall like waves upon the ocean. In this chapter, we learn to meet change with curiosity and courage, transforming the inevitability of loss and renewal into a source of inner strength. As you settle into your bed and sink into the threshold between wakefulness and sleep, allow these reflections to carry you gently downstream, where you'll discover that true resilience is born not in resisting the flow, but in learning to ride its current. Close your eyes and bring your attention to the rhythm of your heartbeat. Feel its steady pulse beneath your ribcage, each contraction and release marking another moment in the unfolding of life. Imagine that each beat is a drop of water, joining the river, discreet and unique, yet inseparable from the larger stream. As you inhale, sense the fresh vitality entering your body. As you exhale, sense the relinquishment of tension, like water flowing past a rock, neither clinging nor pushing. This simple practice reminds us that every breath, every heartbeat, every passing sensation is part of a grand cycle of arising and dissolving. Observe now the landscape of your thoughts. Notice how memories drift by like leaves, caught in the current, some bright and buoyant, others dark and waterlogged. You may glimpse plans for tomorrow, worries about yesterday, fragments of conversation and images from your day. Instead of grasping at these leaves or diving after them, practice letting them float on. Imagine your mind as the river's surface, vast, open, and undisturbed by the flicker of passing debris. When you rest in this open awareness, you begin to feel the groundlessness beneath your feet shift from a source of fear into a gateway of freedom. If nothing is fixed, then nothing can imprison you. As we deepen our exploration of impermanence, it can be helpful to turn our attention to the body itself, which is perhaps the most intimate arena of change that we know. Bring your awareness to the soles of your feet, feeling their contact with the mattress or floor. Slowly let your attention travel upward through your ankles, calves, knees, and thighs, pausing at each joint to notice any warmth, coolness, tingling, or pressure. Continue up through the hips, lower back, and abdomen, observing how the breath subtly shifts the shape of your belly with each cycle of inhalation and exhalation. Then move your awareness through the chest, shoulders, arms, and hands, all the way to the crown of your head. Wherever you detect tension, simply meet it with the breath, sending your inhalation toward the tightness and inviting it to soften with the exhalation. In this body scan, you may discover sensations that change moment by moment. A spot of cool air on your skin, the fading echo of a muscle spasm, the pulsing of blood in your temple. Each subtle fluctuation is an invitation to witness change directly, to recognize its continuous presence, not as a threat, but as the very essence of living. When we identify so strongly with a static image of self, I am this way, or I must remain the same, we build walls against life's natural transitions and set ourselves up for suffering. Instead, by observing the body's continuous dance of sensation, we awaken to a deeper self that is neither fixed nor fragmented, but fluid and responsive. This self is like water itself, yielding enough to adapt to any shape, yet powerful enough to carve canyons over time. As you rest between wakefulness and dreams, let this metaphor sink into the marrow of your being. Picture yourself as a river, not a stone, a dance, not a statue. To support this courageous meeting with change, Buddhist teachings offer the practice of equanimity, or upekkha, a balanced mind that remains steady amid pleasure and pain, praise and blame, gain and loss. Equanimity is not indifference, but rather an embracing of life's totality with openness and wisdom. As you lie between waking and sleeping, reflect on the natural ebb and flow of your emotions and experiences. Offer your intention. May I meet change with an open heart. May I rest in the balance of the mind. Feel this intention infusing every fiber of your being, like gentle ripples that spread across the river's surface, rendering it calm and reflective. Similarly, when hardship or loss appears, a painful email, a discordant relationship, the quiet ache of aging, we instinctively resist. We tighten around discomfort, inflate it with stories of injustice, and struggles the current of our own feelings. But in Buddhist cantics, we learn that true courage lies in turning toward pain with an open heart, like the river's flow meeting a rock without shame or anger. As you feel the weight of difficult emotions, recognize them as natural visitors on the river's path. Name them. Here is sadness, here is fear, here is grief. Breathe into each one, and let the breath be a witness that does not judge. Notice how, when met with presence, even the sharpest anguish begins to loosen its grip, revealing deeper layers of compassion and insight beneath. From this place of fluid awareness, we can begin to engage with life's ups and downs more skillfully. Change may arrive as joy, an unexpected reunion with a loved one, the laughter of a child, fulfillment of a long-held intention. In these moments, the heart naturally opens, the chest expands, and the world seems drenched in possibility. Yet joy, like all phenomena, blooms and then fades. When it does, we often cling to its memory, hoping to recapture the same elation, only to be met with longing and disappointment. By cultivating a mindful appreciation of joy as it arises, savoring each note of delight, without grasping after permanence, we allow its sweetness to enrich our experience, without sowing the seeds of future sorrow. One way to deepen equanimity is through contemplative reflection on the Four Noble Truths, the cornerstone of the Buddha's teaching. First, we acknowledge that life inherently involves suffering, dukkha, the disappointment of unmet desires, the pain of loss, the anxiety of uncertainty. Second, we recognize that suffering arises from craving and aversion, the desire to hold on to what is pleasant and push away what is unpleasant. Third, we realize that by letting go of craving and aversion, we create the possibility for liberation from suffering. And fourth, we commit to the path that leads to this liberation, the eightfold path of right view, intention, speech, action, livelihood, effort, mindfulness, and concentration. As you drift towards sleep, reflect on these truths as a guiding framework. See how each thought or emotion fits into the pattern of craving or aversion, and gently release it on the out-breath, returning to the breath as your anchor. In the hush of the night, you may also cultivate a silent inquiry into the nature of change itself. Pose the question, what is the source of suffering? And listen deeply, not with a discursive mind, but with the spacious awareness that underlies all thought. You might notice that suffering arises when we mistake the ephemeral for the eternal, when we cling to passing phenomena as though they define us. In that realization lies the seed of liberation, the understanding that, at the core of our being, we are neither solid nor separate from the world, but the very openness in which all things are. Rest in that openness as you drift into sleep, allowing the unnameable depth of awareness to cradle you beyond the shifting currents of the mind. Throughout the night, practice returning to these themes whenever you become aware of movement, whether in dreams, bodily discomfort, or restless thoughts. Each subtle shift becomes an opportunity to engage with impermanence directly, to change as a friend rather than an adversary. Feel the pulse of life and the soft glow of your own consciousness as it weaves through cycles of expansion and contraction. Trust that by embracing the river of change, you are forging the resilience that cannot be eroded by any storm. Now, let the breath guide you one last time. Feel the river's flow beneath your skin, carrying you gently into the depths of sleep. Trust in the current of impermanence and rest in the luminous space of awareness that transcends every wave. The river moves, and you move with it, effortlessly, courageously, and free. By morning, as you awaken to a new day, you may notice a newfound ease in meeting life's unpredictability. The lamp of presence that you kindled in the first chapter now shines in communion with the flowing river of impermanence. Together, they form a luminous current of mindful strength, steady yet adaptable, radiant yet unburdened by attachment. As you rise, carry this blended practice of awareness and equanimity into your daily life. Let each challenge be a chance to dive deeper into the river, to learn its currents rather than resist them, and to discover that your true self is the very flow of living itself. In the chapters ahead, we will continue to explore practices that deepen our relationship with joy, suffering, and the fertile space between them. Methods for cultivating wisdom, compassion, and unwavering courage in the face of life's mysteries. But always, we return to the foundation laid here, the recognition that change is the heartbeat of existence, and that by embracing it with mindful attention, we transform life's inevitable flux into the very source of our inner strength. Chapter 3. Befriending the Shadow. Transforming fear into courage. At the heart of every human being lies a hidden current, an undercurrent of anxiety and trepidation that stirs whenever we sense uncertainty, vulnerability, or the unknown. In Buddhist terminology, this is the realm of bhaya, the instinctive fear that surfaces when we glimpse the fragility of our own existence. Yet within that very fear lies a potent seed of transformation, When we turn toward it with mindful attention and compassionate curiosity, we discover that courage is not the absence of fear, but the capacity to acknowledge and embrace our trembling hearts. In this chapter, we journey into the shadowlands of anxiety, learning how to unmask fear's subtle forms, to meet them with clarity rather than aversion, and to transmute the raw energy of apprehension into the refined strength of awakened presence. Begin by reclining comfortably in your bed, allowing the weight of your body to sink softly into the mattress. As you settle, bring your awareness to the space between your eyebrows, the gentle cusp where mental images often arise. Notice whether there is a tension there, a slight furrowing, as if your mind were bracing against an unseen threat. With each breath, invite that tension to loosen. On the in-breath, draw the air all the way up to the brow. On the out-breath, imagine exhaling tension through the skin. In this simple practice, you begin to forge a direct channel of communication between body and mind, a pathway through which feelings of fear can be recognized before they cascade into overwhelming narratives. Allow your attention next to explore the landscape of your breathing without forcing any change in rhythm. Simply observe the natural flow of inhalation and exhalation. Notice whether the breath feels shallow or deep, erratic or regular. More importantly, notice your reaction to the breath itself. Do you judge it as insufficient? Do you worry about holding on too long or letting go too quickly? Often, our most persistent anxieties are masked as judgments about our own experience. I am not breathing correctly. I am not relaxed enough. I must achieve a state of calm. Each of these judgments plants a seed of fear, fostering a cycle in which we fear our own inability to master the present moment. Rather than judging the breath, practice meeting it with impartial curiosity. Picture the breath as a small animal crossing your field of vision. Sometimes it scurries quickly, other times it lingers. You do not knock the animal for its pace. You simply observe. In this way, breathing becomes a mirror of your relationship with life. It is neither judge nor ally, but a neutral strain of energy that invites you to witness without grasping. As you rest in this witnessing posture, you begin to perceive that fear, too, arises as a natural phenomenon, neither a personal flaw nor a cosmic curse, but a transient movement within awareness. To deepen this exploration, gently widen your attention to include the whole body. Sense the contact points between flesh and fabric, the curve of your shoulders against the sheet, the soles of your feet pressing into the bed, the crown of your head grazing the pillow. In Buddhist practice, this panoramic awareness is called Kayanopasana, the contemplation of the body. When we practice Kayanopasana with a tender mind, we open to sensations of discomfort, tightness, heat, pulsing, that often accompany anxiety. Instead of recoiling from these signals, we lean in, guided by the breath, to greet them as messengers rather than enemies. From this place of witnessing, we can introduce the practice of metta, or loving kindness, tailored specifically to our fearful patterns. In traditional metta practice, we send phrases of goodwill to ourselves and others. May I be happy. May I be safe. Here, we adapt that practice to the heart of anxiety. Visualize the fluttering chest as a frightened child, trembling in the dark. Then, in a gentle whisper of intention, repeat, may you feel safe. May you find ease. May you discover your own strength. Imagine your kindness as a warm hand placed on the child's shoulder, radiating reassurance. Allow that warmth to envelop the trembling area, softening the tension and inviting a sense of calm vigilance rather than frantic defense. As you sustain this tender awareness, you may notice that fear often carries a familiar script, a storyline of impending doom, of catastrophic outcomes, or of self-criticism. Perhaps the fear whispers that you are not enough, that you will fail, that you will be abandoned. These stories are echoes of past wounds, resonant patterns that have been rehearsed so many times. They feel true, yet in the quiet refuge of mindful awareness, Each thought chain dissolves upon closer inspection. A thought arises, I will fail, and you note, there is a thought about failure. In that simple noting, the thought loses its authority. It becomes a mental event, not a decree from reality. Suppose you notice a fluttering in your chest, like a startled bird or the gentle tremor of a leaf in the wind. Label it silently. Here is fluttering. By naming the sensation, you create a brief interval of spaciousness between the experience and your habitual reaction, between the sensation of fear and the story you tell yourself about it. I am panicking. This is going to overwhelm me. In that interval, you discover a subtle shift. The sense of self that was once fused to the fear momentarily relaxes, revealing the open field of awareness in which all phenomena rise and subside. To strengthen this discerning clarity, practice the technique known as Vipassana, insight meditation. In Vipassana, we track phenomena as they manifest. Sensations, emotions, thought. When you notice a wave of anxiety, track its progression. Its initial rise as a tight knot in the belly, its expansion as a surge of heat or jitteriness, its peak, and then its gradual subsiding. Observe how the wave unfolds according to recognizable phases. Much like the ocean's tides, each wave is impermanent, and though new waves will inevitably arise, you learn to greet them with the equanimity of a lighthouse keeper, standing steady on the shore. Beyond these formal practices, the Buddha encouraged practitioners to bring mindfulness into everyday activities, turning even ordinary moments into opportunities to cultivate courage. As you move through your day, washing your hands, sipping tea, walking to the door, take a moment to pause and feel the ground beneath your feet, the air on your skin, the weight of gravity. Notice any subtle flicker of unease, a racing thought, a tightening of the jaw, and treat it as you would in formal practice. Note it, meet it with kindness, and return to the simple rhythm of body and breath. In this way, you weave a continuous thread of awareness throughout the tapestry of daily life, so that fear no longer hijacks your attention, but becomes a familiar companion on the path. In the interstices between waves, sense the stillness of awareness itself, a luminous backdrop against which phenomena dance. This stillness is the unconditioned dimension of mind, untouched by even the fiercest anxieties. In Buddhist philosophy, it is sometimes called bhumi, the immutable ground from which all conditioned experiences arise. By resting in bhumi, you discover that courage is not the eradication of fear, but the unwavering presence of the ground amidst all storms. Another powerful tool for transforming fear lies in the contemplative reflection known as lojong, or mind training slogans. These pithy phrases, distilled from centuries of Mahayana practice, serve as antidote to habitual patterns of clinging and aversion. For example, when anxiety grips you, recall the slogan, "Embrace the experience of fear as the path to awakening." This slogan reframes fear not as an obstacle, but as a signpost pointing toward deeper trust in the ground of being. Another slogan advises, "Drive all blames into one," encouraging you to turn around the weapon of criticism inward, seeing how your judgments of fear actually fuel its intensity, rather than projecting blame outward onto circumstances or others. In the liminal space between wakefulness and sleep, these slogans can be woven into your breath practice. On the in-breath, silently intone, "Embrace the experience of fear," and on the out-breath, "As the path to awakening." Let the rhythm of your breathing synchronize with these words, allowing them to saturate the spaces where fear arises, imbuing each tremor with the potential for liberation. As drowsiness deepens, you may find your mind drifting toward dreamscapes, some soothing, others unsettling. When you awaken to an unsettling dream, recognize that it too is a form of anxiety projection. In the darkness of the dream, practice the same mindful witnessing. Note the fear, meet it with compassion, and repeat a mind training slogan. Even in dreams, the lamp of awareness can burn steadily, illuminating the shadowy recesses of the psyche and transforming nocturnal terror into lucid insight. Throughout the night, when you sense your heart flutter or your breath catch, remind yourself, this is fear arising, and I am here. Let the recognition itself become an anchor, as simple and profound as the earth beneath you. Over time, these repeated awakenings to fear weaken its tyranny, replacing it with a calm courage that carries into waking life. You discover that the very emotion you once fled from becomes the raw material for strength, resilience, and deep presence. By morning's first light, you may awaken, not only rested but enlivened by the discovery that fear is not a prison, but a portal, an invitation to deepen your friendship with the totality of experience. The lamp you lit in Chapter 1 and the river of change you embraced in Chapter 2 now converge with the transformative power of courage, born from facing fear directly. In their union, they form a triad of practice, presence, impermanence, and fearless compassion. As you rise to greet the new day, carry this triad into every interaction and thought. When challenges arise, deadline pressures, interpersonal tensions, unexpected trials, call upon the lineage of awake ones who have faced terrors far greater than ours and emerged with hearts unbroken. Remember the trembling child in your chest and cradle it with kindness. Remember the ocean's tides and ride each wave with balanced poise. Remember the stillness of awareness and let it shine through the storm. In the chapters ahead, we will continue to explore the fertile ground of awakened living, the practice of wise discernment, prajna, the cultivation of boundless compassion, karuna, and the weaving of ethical conduct, sila, into the fabric of sleep and waking. Yet always, we return to the shadow that lives within, the tender, trembling heart that, when met with courage, transforms fear into the very backbone of wisdom. Now softly draw 3 deep breaths. With each in-breath, invite clarity. With each out-breath, let go of resistance. Feel the lamp of presence burning steadily, the river of change flowing beneath you, and the courageous openness that meets fear without flinching. Rest in this sacred convergence and drift gently into the realm of dreams, where the alchemy of awakened practice continues its silent work. Chapter 4: The Gentle Armor of Compassion. When the world feels heavy, laden with the echoes of suffering, both our own and that of others, there arises within us a subtle invitation to meet that weight, not with cold resignation, but with a softening of the heart that transforms pain into purpose. In Buddhist practice, this softening is known as karuna, compassion, the capacity to recognize the common thread of anguish woven through every life, and to respond with a tenderness that does not shrink from the world's wounds, but bears witness to them. As you prepare to drift into sleep tonight, allow the gentle power of compassion to be your guide, forging an inner armor that is neither rigid nor defensive, but alive with warmth and resilience. Lie back and let your body settle into the mattress. Feel the support beneath you, giving way in all the right places to hold every curve and contour. Close your eyes and bring your attention to the subtle temperature, the air on your skin. Notice how it feels against your eyelids, your cheeks, your arms. In this simple attunement, you begin to awaken the senses that habitually operate below the level of conscious awareness, the raw data of experience that we too often overlook. Compassion begins with this awakened attention, for we cannot respond to suffering until we first feel its contours clearly. Now turn your awareness inward, to the patterns of emotion that trace their pathways through your chest. Perhaps you sense a residue of the day's frustrations, a tightness in the throat, a dull ache behind the eyes, a restless stirring in the belly. In moments like these, the habitual mind may react with impatience. I should not feel this way. Or avoidance. I wish this discomfort would just go away. Yet in compassionate practice, we learn to treat these ripples of unease as sacred messengers, whispering clues about our own vulnerabilities and the universal truth of human fragility. Once you have greeted your own discomfort, extend that same courtesy outward. Visualize in the theater of your mind's eye someone you care about deeply, perhaps a family member, a friend, or as pet. See them in a moment of suffering. Maybe it is the loneliness of old age, the anxiety of change, the raw grief of loss. Feel the stirrings of empathy arise in your chest, like a gentle flame, igniting at the touch of a cold wind. Let this flame grow, soft and steady, until it warms the entire front of your torso. Inhale the radiance of compassion. Exhale it toward the one you hold in your heart. Allow yourself to breathe gently into the area where you feel most tense. With each inhalation, imagine drawing in acceptance. With each exhalation, imagine releasing judgment. If the discomfort is sharp, give it a name. Here is frustration. Here is unrest. Here is fatigue. Naming transforms raw sensation into something we can regard with friendly curiosity. In that moment of recognition, the emotion shifts from being an invisible tyrant to becoming an acknowledged guest, invited to rest in the welcoming space of awareness. As the warmth spreads outward, expand your circle of care. Imagine children caught in conflict, elders abandoned by society, strangers crushed by invisible burdens of debt or illness. Hold each image briefly, touching the universal chord of suffering that vibrates through them all. Do not allow despair to overwhelm you. Instead, recognize that each encounter with suffering is an opportunity to awaken compassion's latent potential. The Buddha taught that compassion is not a finite resource, but a wellspring that grows richer the more it is shared. To turn compassion into action, we first cultivate a clear understanding of suffering's forms. In Buddhist thought, suffering is categorized into three types: the suffering of obvious pain, physical discomfort, illness, injury; the suffering of change, the anguish born when pleasurable experiences fade; and the suffering of conditioned existence, the subtle background dissatisfaction that underlies every moment. As you lie poised between wakefulness and sleep, reflect on these three dimensions in relation to your own life. Notice how the body's sensations correlate with obvious pain, how memories of happier times carry a tinge of longing, and how, even in moments of comfort, an inexplicable restlessness can linger. By mapping suffering in this way, we sharpen our compassion's focus, learning to respond not only to overt distress, but also to the more elusive aches that evade easy recognition. In the quiet of the night, after acknowledging your own vulnerabilities, visualize the life story of another, someone whose pain is hidden beneath a polite smile, someone whose burdens weigh heavily yet remain unspoken. Perhaps you have encountered them in passing: a coworker who always arrives early, yet seems quietly defeated; a neighbor who keeps to themselves; a stranger whose eyes carry a silent question. Let your mind's compassion reach across the boundary of anonymity, offering an unspoken blessing. May you be free from suffering. May you find comfort in your own heart. Ink these aspirations into your being through the practice of medicine-inspired phrases directed toward all sentient beings. Silently repeat: may all beings be safe. May all beings be peaceful. May all beings be filled with the warmth of compassion. Do not rush the recitation. Let each phrase unfurl like a petal, lingering in the heart before the next arises. Notice how the act of wishing well dissolves barriers between self and other, revealing an interconnected field of life in which every breath you take is shared by countless forms of existence. Compassion's true crucible, however, comes when we encounter beings who challenge us, those who evoke anger, fear, or frustration. Here lies a profound test. Can we open our hearts to those we find most difficult, recognizing in them the same wish to avoid suffering that we carry ourselves? As you sink deeper into the threshold of sleep, bring to mind someone with whom you have experienced tension or estrangement. Perhaps it is a former friend whose trust you betrayed, a family member whose expectations burden you, or a public figure whose actions you find reprehensible. Visualize them as clearly as you can and sense whatever aversion or resentment arises. In that fragile opening resides true courage. It takes courage to face our enemies, not with further hostility, but with a determination to see them as fellow travelers on the path, bearing wounds that mirror our own. As you fall asleep, let this courageous compassion settle into your dreams, where it can continue its silent work, untangling knots of blame, weaving threads of forgiveness, and stitching together the torn fabric of relationship. Now shift your intention. May you be free from suffering. May you find ease. Repeat these phrases slowly, allowing the simple structure of the words to penetrate the defenses of the mind. You may feel resistance, a tightening in the chest, a flash of indignation, but do not judge it. Recognize that this resistance is itself a form of suffering, a hardened shell born of fear and misunderstanding. With each repetition, imagine sending a beam of light into the darkness of anger, softening its edges until you sense a fragile opening, a crack through which the warmth of compassion can seep. Night after night, as you practice, you will begin to notice subtle shifts in your waking life. The sharp edge of judgment blunts. The impulse to criticize softens into curiosity. The capacity to hold difficult emotions without fleeing strengthens. You may find yourself pausing before responding to provocation, taking a breath, and recalling the image of the suffering stranger or the estranged loved one. In that pause, you discover a space of choice, a place where compassion can arise and guide your words and action. To support this unfolding, anchor your compassion practice in small, tangible gestures. Each day, offer a genuine smile to a retail worker. Listen attentively when a colleague speaks of their troubles. Send a brief message of encouragement to someone you know is struggling. Each act, however modest, plants a seed of kindness in the world and in your own heart. Over time, these seeds sprout a forest of compassionate habits, whose roots delve deep into the ground of empathy and whose branches offer shade to all who pass beneath. Yet compassion's journey is not always smooth. On some nights, the weight of the world's suffering may feel overwhelming, threatening to drown your resolve in sorrow or despair. When this tide rises, turn to practices that balance compassion with clear awareness, what Tibetan teachers call compassionate wisdom. Wisdom reminds us that while all beings desire relief from suffering, not all methods of seeking relief lead to liberation. By combining compassion with discernment, we learn to alleviate suffering skillfully, neither enabling unwholesome patterns nor withdrawing into apathy. To anchor compassionate wisdom, you might also cultivate the practice of Tonglen, the giving and taking meditation. In this practice, you imagine breathing in the darkest suffering of the world, your own anguish, the pain of loved ones, the cries of humanity, and transforming it in the heart, exhaling healing and relief to all who suffer. Tonight, as you sink into sleep's embrace, practice Tonglen gently on the in-breath. Draw in a sense of collective sorrow. On the out-breath, send out waves of compassion and strength. This practice is not meant to burden you with the world's misery, but to awaken the alchemy by which love transmutes pain into the fuel of awakening. In the quiet of the night, reflect on your own patterns of response. Do you sometimes gush with sympathy in ways that inadvertently foster dependency? Do you sometimes detach in order to protect yourself, thereby cutting yourself off from the warmth of connection? Contemplate the middle way, avoiding extremes of self-absorption and self-sacrifice, and allow your dreams to offer insights into how compassionate action can be both generous and grounded. As dawn approaches, you may awaken with tears of tenderness or with a profound sense of connection to all life. These tears are not signs of weakness, but emblems of the heart's vast capacity for love. Carry this tender clarity into the day. Let your footsteps be soft, your speech be kind, and your presence be a sanctuary for those who cross your path. Remember that every being you meet carries their own hidden fragilities, and that a single act of compassion, a listening ear, a thoughtful word, a moment of sincere presence can alter the course of a life. In the chapters yet to come, we will explore how compassion integrates with other facets of practice, the deep reflections of wisdom, the clarity of ethical conduct, and the radiant joy that bubbles when the heart is unbound. But always, we return to this gentle armor you are forging tonight, an inner strength shaped not by steel, but by the molten flow of compassion, tempered with awareness, and guided by the unwavering wish to alleviate suffering. Now, as you close your eyes, rest in the luminous field of loving kindness you have created. Feel its warmth coursing through your veins, a steady flame that neither flickers nor fades. Let this flame accompany you into dreams, into rest, and into the waking hour, when you will rise again, bearing the gentle armor of compassion into a world that hungers for its light. Chapter 5. Illuminating the path with wisdom. Lie comfortably, allowing every edge of your body to be fully supported. Sense the gentle rise and fall of your chest, the soft expansion of your belly, the subtle movement of air through your nostrils. In Tibetan tradition, this basic mindfulness of breathing is called shamatha, the calm, abiding practice that stills the ripples of thought. Through shamatha, we develop a steady attention that becomes the foundation for insight. As your breath settles into a natural rhythm, imagine that with each exhalation you release agitation, and with each inhalation you invite clarity. Gradually, the mind's surface grows smooth and reflective like a still lake at dawn. In the tender quiet of night, when the world beyond your window sleeps beneath a blanket of stars, there exists a luminous space within, a sanctuary of clarity, waiting to be discovered. This is the realm of wisdom prajna, the unerring insight that dissolves illusions and reveals the true nature of reality. Unlike knowledge, which accumulates facts and concepts, wisdom arises when the mind rests in direct seeing, when the luminous mirror of awareness reflects experience without distortion. As you drift between wakefulness and sleep, let these reflections guide you to kindle the lamp of discernment, so that each moment of life shines with precision and purpose. In that reflective stillness, glimpses of deeper truth can arise. Picture a beam of moonlight penetrating the darkness, illuminating shapes that were once hidden. So too does wisdom pierce the veils of our habitual patterns, revealing the filters of bias, the habits of clinging, the subtle cravings that drive us. To cultivate this insight, the Buddha taught the practice of vipassana, insight meditation, where we observe not only the breath, but the very nature of phenomena as they unfold. As these insights deepen, you may encounter resistance, a subtle clinging to comfort, a reluctance to see discomfort. In such moments, cultivate a gentle curiosity. Investigate the resistance itself. Here is clinging. Here is aversion. When you meet these obstacles with welcoming attention, you transform them into doorways to deeper clarity. Just as a prism splits a ray of light into its constituent colors, mindful investigation splits the composite of experience into its elemental qualities, revealing their transient, empty nature. Allow your attention to expand to sensations in the body. Feel the contact of your clothing against your skin, the subtle fluctuations of temperature, the gentle weight of your limbs. Notice how these sensations, too, arise and pass. A surge of comfort may flow through your spine, for a moment, followed by a shift into numbness or warmth. By tracking the arising and dissolving of sensations, you come to know that all conditioned phenomena share the same pattern of birth and decay. This direct experiential glimpse is the seed of vipassana, insight into the three marks of existence: impermanence, anicca, unsatisfactoriness, dukkha, and non-self, anatta. Turn your attention now to the world of perception. Notice a thought arising. Perhaps a memory of the day, an anticipation of tomorrow, or an idle speculation. Rather than following the thread of the thought into distraction, simply note its presence. Thinking. Observe how the thought has a form, a beginning, a middle, and an end. It appears, lingers, and then fades into the backdrop of awareness. In that simple noting, you begin to see the impermanent, insubstantial nature of mental events. They are not solid truths, but passing appearances, as ephemeral as bubbles on water. As wisdom unfolds, its radiance can permeate every corner of your life. When you awaken in the morning, allow the clarity of prajna to guide your first steps. Before speaking, pause and ask, is this speech rooted in kindness and truth? Before acting, inquire, will this choice bring benefit or harm? With each pause, you reinforce the mirror of awareness that was polished in your nightly practice. Decisions become less reactive and more creative, shaped by a clear understanding of cause and effect. Within this transparent clarity arises the understanding of non-self, the realization that there is no unchanging entity at the heart of experience. Thoughts, sensations, perceptions, and even awareness itself come into being, into kittens, and dissolve when those conditions shift. To explore this, turn your attention to the sense of I. Notice how the sense of self seems to anchor your experience. I feel, I think, I perceive. Investigate, where is the I located? Is it in the chest, the head, the heart? When you search, you encounter a shifting array of sensations and images, but no permanent self. This direct insight into non-self dissolves the root of suffering. For when there is no separate self to protect or defend, there is nothing to fear or to lose. In the Shurangama Sutra, the Buddha describes wisdom as the unwavering eye, an eye that sees things exactly as they are, free from distortion. To approximate such seeing, we can employ the practice of noting through which every moment is labeled by its essential quality: rising, falling, hot, cold, joyful, painful, thinking, hearing. This practice is simple yet profound. It invites the mind to rest in bare awareness of what is happening, moment by moment, without adding commentary or judgment. Over time, the habitual habits of craving and aversion lose momentum, and the mind becomes transparent, like polished crystal. To deepen the integration of wisdom in daily life, cultivate the practice of reflection, the revisiting of events through the lens of insight. In the evening before sleep, recall moments of the day, a conversation, an emotional reaction, a choice you made. Under the light of prajna, examine how desire, aversion, or ignorance influence the event. See how different your response might have been if guided by mindful awareness. Such reflective practice not only strengthens insight, but also fuels genuine transformation, guiding habit energy toward freedom rather than entanglement. Another powerful avenue toward wisdom is the study of Buddhist teachings, scriptures, sutras, and verses that articulate the path. Yet, intellectual study alone is not enough. It must be married to direct experience. As you read or listen to Dharma talks, bring them into your meditation. When a teaching arises in the mind, note its presence, hearing, understanding. Notice the blossoming of insight or doubt, and then return to the ground of bare awareness. In this way, theory and practice merge, like two tributaries joining a river. In the depths of sleep, the fruits of insight continue to unfold. Dreams that once felt random may become lucid, revealing patterns of mind and shadow. When you awaken within a dream, practice noting, dreaming, thinking, feel. In that moment of lucidity, you see the fluidity of the dream world, and by extension, the fluidity of waking life. Such lucidity is not an end in itself, but a tool for awakening, demonstrating that all phenomena, whether in sleep or wakefulness, are mind-made. Throughout the night, if you sense restlessness or discomfort, meet it with prajna. Observe the raw sensation, itching, aching, heat, cold, as if it were a scientific experiment. Chart its rise and fall without adding a story. In this way, you transform distraction into insight, rendering obstacles into raw material for wisdom. Each moment becomes a microscope into the fundamental nature of reality. By morning's first light, you awaken with a mind honed by direct knowing. The habitual blur of automatic reactions gives way to a crisp field of awareness, in which every scent, every sound, every movement registers with vivid clarity. In that clarity, you realize the elegance of the Eightfold Path. Right view born of insight, right intention aligned with compassion, right speech and action flowing from wisdom, right livelihood, effort, mindfulness, and concentration entwined in a seamless whole. As you rise to greet the day, carry the lamp of wisdom alongside the armor of compassion and the buoyancy of equanimity. Let every step be guided by clear seeing, every breath anchored in presence, and every gesture infused with kindness. In this way, the practice you cultivate between night and day becomes not an escape from life, but a marriage with life's every nuance. Chapter 6. Rooting in Ethical Conduct, the Foundation of Awakening. In the chapters that follow, we will explore the weaving of ethical conduct, sila, into the fabric of awakening, the blossoming of boundless joy, mudita, and the integration of mind, body, and speech into harmonious expression. Yet always, we return to the luminous heart of prajaya, the mirror that reveals illusion, the beacon that guides through uncertainty, and the gateway to liberty. Now, as you surrender to sleep, rest in the spacious clarity you have uncovered. Feel the gentle unveiling of reality in every breath. Let the radiance of wisdom accompany you into dreams, where the path of awakening continues its silent work, lighting the way for every step to come. In the silent embrace of night, when thoughts soften and the world outside holds its breath, there lies an opportunity to return to the deepest ground of our being, the field of ethical awareness, known in Buddhist practice as sila. Ethical conduct is not a rigid set of prohibitions, but the living expression of wisdom and compassion in every moment. It is the fertile soil from which the flowers of insight and kindness grow, and the stable trunk that supports the canopy of our spiritual life. As you drift towards sleep, allow the precepts of sila to settle gently into your heart, illuminating the path of right action with a steady glow of moral clarity. Lie back and bring your attention to the simple aliveness of your body. Feel the contact of your back against the mattress, the weight of your limbs yielding to gravity's embrace. Notice any residual tension, perhaps in the shoulders, the jaw, or the small of the back, and let your breath convey a message of release to those places. In this easing, you prepare the ground for the cultivation of mindful intention, the precursor to ethical action. For in Buddhism, the body, speech, and mind form a sacred triad. Actions originate in intention, manifest through body and speech, and bear consequences in the fabric of our life. Begin by reflecting on the foundational precept of non-harming, ahimsa. As you inhale, recall moments in your day when you moved through the world with awareness, when you offered a smile, when you held a door, when you resisted a sharp word. As you exhale, recall moments of tension, a glance of irritation, a thought of judgment, a word spoken too quickly. Bring a compassionate curiosity to both. Notice how every intention, every movement of thought or speech leaves an imprint in the heart and mind of self and other. In this reflection, you awaken to the reality that kindness and harm are not abstract concepts, but living energies woven into each interaction. Ethical conduct begins with the simplest gestures, the intention behind a word, the presence behind a glance, the choice to speak truth with gentleness. Imagine now a moment from your day, a conversation you had, perhaps with a friend or a stranger. Replay it in the theater of your mind, witnessing each gesture of body and speech. Where did your words align with your deepest intentions of care and honesty? Where did they veer into defensiveness or avoidance? Without blame, simply note these moments as beacons of learning. Each flash of self-awareness becomes a seed that, when nourished by mindfulness, will grow into a robust virtue. As darkness deepens, turn your attention inward to the subtle realm of thought. Ethical conduct in Buddhism extends beyond external actions to encompass the currents of desire and aversion that shape our inner landscape. In the quiet of your mind, notice any lingering cravings, perhaps for approval, for comfort, or for escaping discomfort. Notice any aversions, subtle rejections of pain, of difference, of vulnerability. Recognize these mental activities as the root impulses from which unwholesome actions may arise. By bringing them into the light of awareness, you interrupt the habitual chains of conditioned responses, opening space for more skillful, compassionate habits to form. In this light, recall the second precept, abstaining from taking what is not given. This precept invites us to examine not only overt acts of theft, but also the subtler incursions into another's space, spending someone else's time without regard for their needs, consuming more than our share of resources, or borrowing emotional energy in ways that deplete others. In the hush before sleep, reflect on your relationship with giving and receiving. Did you offer genuine generosity today? Did you receive with humility and gratitude? Envision your interactions as a flow of energy, sometimes giving, sometimes receiving, always balanced by reciprocity and respect. Let this practice of reflection extend organically to the precept of sexual responsibility, the commitment to honor the intimacy of connection in ways that respect both self and other. In your mind's eye, observe the quality of your relationships, those rooted in mutual trust, compassion, and consent, those tinged with desire that may have clouded clarity or caused inadvertent harm. Recognize that at the heart of ethical intimacy lies the same principle as non-harming, the intention to create safety, to foster mutual growth, and to cultivate connection without clinging or exploitation. Now bring your awareness to the realm of speech, the precept to abstain from falsehood, divisive or harsh words, and idle chatter. Words once spoken cannot be reclaimed. They travel through space and time, shaping thoughts and feelings in their wake. As you sink deeper towards sleep, replay moments of conversation, both public and private. Notice where silence would have been more healing than speech, where a truthful word spoken with kindness would have prevented misunderstanding, where idle gossip may have sown seeds of discord. In each instance, imagine placing a hand of intention on your throat, guiding your words toward clarity, empathy, and benefit for all concerned. Throughout this reflective process, anchor yourself in the understanding that ethical conduct is not about striving for perfection, but about sincere engagement with the reality of cause and effect. Karma. Every choice generates a result. Every action, an echo. In the night's still spaciousness, vow to align intention, speech, and action with the well-being of yourself and all beings. Let your promise be simple: to act with kindness, speak with clarity, and think with compassion. These vows are not burdens to carry, but guideposts that orient your journey toward freedom. As your breath grows deeper and more tranquil, visualize the cumulative effect of living in harmony with the precepts. Imagine your life as a great tree whose roots of ethical conduct draw nourishment from the rich soil of intention. The trunk of mindfulness stands firm and upright, supporting branches of wisdom and compassion that reach upward and outward. Leaves of joy and contentment shimmer in the breeze of effortless effort. Virya, sustained by the continuous cycle of right action. In this image, you perceive that ethical conduct is not a constraint, but the framework that allows your true nature to blossom fully. Let this vision permeate your dreams. In the realm of sleep, intentions sown through mindful reflection take root and grow in subtle ways, shaping dreamscapes that echo our waking life. If you awaken in the night, catch sight of lingering tensions or anxieties as invitations to revisit the precepts. Note how a secure sense of moral integrity can quiet the churning mind, replacing restless planning or regret with a calm assurance that whatever challenges may come, you meet them with clarity of heart and purity of purpose. By the time dawn's first light brushes the horizon, the seeds of ethical reflection will have permeated the soil of your consciousness. You awaken not merely rested, but strengthened by the resolve to live with integrity. Each morning's first action becomes an opportunity to reaffirm your commitment. The mindful brushing of your teeth, the gentle arrangements of your bed, the gracious greeting to another. In these humble acts, the thread of sila weaves seamlessly through the tapestry of daily life. In the chapters that follow, we will explore the blossoming of joy, mudita, the deepening of concentration, samadhi, and the seamless integration of body, speech, and mind into the living art of awakened being. Yet always, we return to this grounding practice, the cultivation of ethical conduct, as the essential root from which all true freedom and compassion grow. As you step into the day ahead, carry the lamp of ethical conduct as your closest companion. Let it illuminate choices, small and large, with the steady flame of intention, aligned with the welfare of all. When faced with complexity or moral ambiguity, return to the precepts as a compass, remembering that the foundation of awakening lies in the harmony between how we live, what we speak, and how we think.
Now, surrender into sleep with the unwavering promise to act with kindness, speak with honesty, and think with clarity. Let these vows drift through your dreams, weaving the fabric of a life lived in harmony with the highest aspirations of the heart.
Lie comfortably and allow your attention to drift inward. Notice the subtle glow of warmth in your chest as you breathe, an undercurrent of vitality that often goes unnoticed beneath the mind's chatter. Place a gentle hand over your heart, acknowledging this life force with a silent salutation. Here is the silent ember of joy. In doing so, you create a spark of awareness around delight itself, positioning it as an object of the mind's attention, just as we attend to breath or sensation. This simple act sets the stage for cultivating joy as a practice, not a byproduct of external events. Chapter 7. Cultivating the Radiance of Joy. Night's gentle veil descends, and with it comes an invitation to rest, not only our bodies, but also the habitual patterns of the mind that obscure our innate capacity for delight. In Buddhist practice, this open-hearted ease is called mudita, the joy that arises when we welcome life's unfolding with gratitude and wholehearted appreciation. Unlike fleeting pleasures bound to circumstance, mudita is an inner radiance that blooms from recognizing the interconnected web of kindness, beauty, and growth that weaves through every heart. As you sink between wakefulness and dreams, let these reflections guide you to water the seeds of joy within, so that by morning's light, you awaken with a heart soft, expansive, and alight with one. From this foundation, expand your practice to include the joys of others. Think of someone in your life whose happiness delights you, perhaps a loved one celebrating success, a friend embracing healing, or even a stranger's small act of kindness, observed in passing. As this person's good fortune arises in your awareness, rest in the simple delight of their flourishing. Let your mind say, how wonderful that they experience this happiness, and feel the warmth of empathy ripple through your being. This practice of sympathetic joy counters envy and comparison, replacing them with an expansive appreciation that recognizes another's joy as perfectly valid and deserving. As the memory settles, reflect on the nature of its arising. Notice how joy, like all mental states, is conditioned. It depends on causes and conditions coming together. The light that filters through leaves, the kindness of another's words, the attentiveness of your own heart. Yet although its appearance is transient, the capacity for joy is ever present, waiting to be ignited by a moment of attention. Recognizing this dual nature, joy as condition but also as an inherent possibility, opens the door to intentionally tending its flame. You come to see that joy is not a luxury reserved for special occasions, but an ever-available resource, cultivated through mindful engagement with life's small gifts. Begin by recalling a moment from your day that stirred genuine pleasure. Perhaps the curve of sunlight across a wall, the soft syllables of a friend's laughter, or the satisfying taste of a nourishing meal. Let the memory arise in vivid detail. The glow of color, the resonance of sound, the texture of sensation. As you revisit this scene, notice how your body responds. The corners of your mouth may lift, your chest may expand, a subtle warmth may unfurl through your limb. Allow yourself to indulge in this recollection fully, savoring each nuance as though dipping into the well of joy itself. In Buddhist terms, this practice is known as rejoicing in merit, celebrating wholesome experiences so that they multiply in richness and impact. To deepen this practice, consider the joyful arcs of countless lives unfolding around the globe. Visualize a young student mastering a new skill, an elder offering wise counsel, a gardener tending to blossoms after a season of drought. Feel the waves of delight that ripple beyond individual circumstances, as each being experiences moments of awakening, growth, and contentment. In this way, mudita becomes a universal embrace, dissolving the boundary between self and other, until we perceive all joy as a shared current coursing through the heart of existence. As you rest between wakefulness and sleep, invite the embodied dimension of joy to merge with this open awareness. Pay attention to subtle bodily sensations that accompany delight, the softening of muscles, the gentle flutter of breath, the rising warmth beneath the skin. Notice how these sensations appear and fade, yet leave behind a residue of ease that lingers in the tissue of the body. By including the body in the meditation on joy, you anchor the experience more firmly, allowing its benefits to permeate both mind and form. Joy, when deeply cultivated, can become a stabilizing force even in the face of adversity. Recall a time when life circumstances felt challenging, a moment of loss, conflict, or uncertainty. Remember how the vine clung to discomfort, amplifying pain through worry and agitation. Now keep that memory present as you rest in the soothing light of sympathetic joy. Remind yourself that even in struggle, moments of kindness and beauty persist. It may be the gentle rise and fall of breath, the wisdom gained through difficulty, or the quiet support of a friend. By consciously acknowledging these sparks of joy amid suffering, you weave a resilient thread that softens hardship's sting and reveals the complexity of experience's tapestry. This integration of joy and challenge embodies the middle way, neither indulging in sentimental optimism nor sinking into cynical despair. Instead, we learn to hold each moment, pleasant or painful, with equal curiosity and acceptance. In this balanced posture, mudita becomes a compass guiding us toward wholesome action. We seek not to solidify pleasure or eliminate pain, but to meet both with a buoyant heart that recognizes the preciousness of each passing moment. In the depths of sleep, these practices continue their unfolding. Dreams rich with vibrant imagery may become more common as the mind cultivates openness and delight. If you awaken to a jarring or frightening dream, gently recall the memory of joy you nurtured before sleep. Allow its warmth to dissipate doubt and fear, transforming the dream's emotional tone from turmoil into curiosity. In this way, mudita enriches your nocturnal landscape, fostering a gentler relationship with the unconscious. Upon awakening in the night, pause and place a hand over your heart. Once more, breathe into the space within, recalling a moment of joy, however small, and rest in its echo. Notice how this simple gesture can reorient the mind away from worry and toward a sense of sufficiency and grace. Over time, such many practices accumulate, creating a reservoir of goodwill you can draw upon in the hours of both waking and sleeping. As dawn's first light steals into the room, Allow the residue of joy to color your waking mind. Before rising, close your eyes and envision your day as a garden yet to bloom. Consider how you might engage with each activity: preparing coffee, opening the door, speaking with others from a posture of joyful presence. Even routine tasks become opportunities to savor the miracle of being alive. The sweet aroma of coffee grounds, the crisp sound of breeze through a window, the brief exchange of smiles. In this light, life transforms from a collection of chores into a tapestry woven with moments of enchantment. Integration of mudita into daily life naturally leads to acts of generosity and kindness. When the heart brims with joy, we are inclined to share its warmth, offering compliments, small gifts, or simple dexos of care. Notice how giving itself can become an occasion for delight. The way another's eyes light up at a thoughtful word, the mutual laughter that arises when we bring lightness to someone's burden. These reflections reveal that joy is not a solitary emotion, but a collective field of resonance, strengthening bonds and amplifying well-being for all. Over time, the consistent practice of sympathetic joy erodes the corrosive tendencies of jealousy and envy, replacing them with a crystal-clear delight in others' successes. You come to view the world as a community of hearts, each beating its own rhythm, yet contributing to a shared symphony of flourishing. In recognizing that another's goodness does not diminish your own, you awaken to the spacious truth that joy multiplies when it is given freely. In the chapters yet to come, we will explore the deepening of concentration, samadhi, that arises when joy anchors the mind to wholesome objects, as well as the integration of this radiant ease into the cultivation of unshakable equanimity and loving presence. But always, we return to mudita's luminous truth, that joy is not an accident of circumstance, but a quality of mind cultivated through intention, attention, and heartfelt appreciation. Now, as you drift into the tender realm of dreams, rest in the glow you have created. Feel its radiance weaving through each particle of awareness, illuminating the folds of mind and heart. Let the songs of delight echo through the spaces between thoughts, guiding you into a rest that awakens not only the body but the joyful essence at the core of your being. By morning, may you rise with eyes bright, heart light, and a deep conviction that joy is your birthright and your most profound gift to the world. Chapter 8. Deepening into the stillness. The path of samadhi. In the silent hours before dawn, when the world rests in hushed anticipation of light, there lies an invitation to journey inward, beyond the scattered currents of thought and emotion, into the unbroken depth of pure awareness. This unfolding is the realm of samadhi, often translated as concentration or meditative absorption. Yet in its fullest expression, it is far more a luminous field in which the mind settles like water at rest, reflecting reality without distortion or ripples. In this chapter, we explore how to cultivate that stillness, how to maintain and deepen states of absorption, and how the combination of presence and tranquility can open windows onto the boundless ground of our being. From the very outset of practice, we learn that the breath can serve as a gateway to samadhi, but it is not mere breath counting or mechanical regulation. Rather, it is an invitation to allow the entire field of attention to merge with the subtle currents of life as they flow through the body. Begin by lying or sitting comfortably, letting the body relax into its natural posture. Allow the eyes to close gently and bring your attention to the tip of the nostrils, where each inhalation and exhalation registers as a cool or warm touch. Resist neither the depth nor the rhythm of the breath. Simply observe it as it is, ever-changing, yet always present. As you rest your attention on the breath, you may notice that the mind wanders, drifting to thoughts of the day's events, projecting into tomorrow's plans, or replaying yesterday's conversations. Each time you become aware of distraction, simply note it with kindness, thinking, planning, remembering, and then return to the breath. This gentle redirection, practiced moment after moment, is the essence of samatha, calm, abiding practice. Over time, the intervals between distractions lengthen, and the mind begins to stabilize, drawing its scattered faculties into a single, cohesive focus. But true concentration involves more than single-pointedness. It cultivates a dynamic balance between alertness and relaxation. Imagine the breath as the string of a musical instrument. If it is too tight, it acts under tension. If it is too loose, it fails to resonate. In the same way, the mind must remain supple and responsive, even as it rests in calm. To check for this balance, periodically expand your awareness to include the body as a whole, feeling the weight of limbs, the contact of clothing, the aliveness of skin. Then gently return to the breath. This cyclical widening and narrowing of attention prevents the mind from becoming dull or sluggish, keeping it vibrant and alive even in deep absorption. As concentration deepens, several hallmarks of samadhi begin to emerge. One of the first is the fading of the 5 hindrances: sensual desire, ill will, sloth and torpor, restlessness and worry, and doubt. Normally, these tendencies pull the mind away from its object, but in the soothing embrace of samadhi, they slacken their grip. Sensations of craving and aversion may still arise, but they begin to feel like distant echoes rather than immediate urgencies. A subtle equanimity arises, allowing you to witness internal and external events without becoming entangled. At this stage, you may experience moments of piti, a joyous thrill or rapture that courses through the body. This energy can manifest as tingling in the hands, warmth in the chest, or a gentle vibration along the spine. Piti is not the goal itself, but a delightful byproduct of concentration's clarity. When it arises, allow it to flow freely, welcoming its vivacity without grasping. Notice how it carries the mind into even deeper stillness, as if waves of joy wash away the last traces of restlessness. As piti subsides, it often gives way to sukha, a deep, tranquil pleasure that permeates every cell. Sukha is characterized by a profound sense of ease and contentment, as if the entire system has settled into its natural state of harmony. Moments of sukha are like glimpses into the unmoving ground of being. Behind the dance of sensations, thoughts, and emotions lies an undercurrent of restful awareness that is untouched by the vicissitudes of experience. When sukha deepens further, the mind may glide effortlessly along the current of awareness without any deliberate effort to maintain focus. This effortless alertness is a sign that the barriers between observer, observed, and the process of observation have softened. In this boundaryless space, sensations arise and subside within a seamless continuum. Here, time itself can feel spacious and elastic. Minutes may pass in what feels like moments, and yet the experience is infinitely rich, as if every instant contains the fullness of eternity. Reaching these deep levels of absorption is a milestone, but the path of samadhi does not end there. Sustaining and deepening these states requires consistent practice and skillful engagement. One powerful method is to introduce supportive mental images or phrases. Kayagatasati, mindfulness of the body, can be enriched by visualizing each inhalation as a wave of healing light washing through the body, and each exhalation as the release of tension and hindrance. Alternatively, you can repeat a gentle mantra, such as "I am peace" on the in-breath and "I am stillness" on the out-breath, allowing the words to carry your attention deeper into absorption. Another method is to vary the object of concentration after a period of stable focus. For example, after centering on the breath for 20 minutes, shift to the sensation of faint lights or colors behind closed eyelids, noticing how they flicker and dance. After that, shift to the silence underlying all sounds, hearing the faintest hum of life. Each transition, executed mindfully, serves to deepen concentration by preventing habituation and engaging fresh dimensions of awareness. Equally important is maintaining ethical integrity, sila, and wholesome intention. Cetana as the foundation of samadhi practice. Concentration cultivated without virtuous conduct can lead to pride or attachment to pleasant states, which eventually destabilize practice. Before each meditation session, take a moment to reaffirm your intention to cultivate clarity, compassion, and liberation for the benefit of self and all beings. Let this motivation infuse every inhalation and exhalation, ensuring that samadhi remains both powerful and grounded in loving wisdom. Teacher support and community engagement also play vital roles in sustaining samadhi practice. In monasteries and meditation centers, experienced mentors guide students through the nuanced stages of absorption, offering personalized feedback and encouragement. In the solitude of home practice, you can emulate this support by keeping a meditation journal, briefly noting the qualities of each session. Was the mind agile or dull? Were hindrances strong or weak? Did piti and sukha arise? Such honest reflection illuminates patterns and informs adjustments to your approach. Over weeks and months of dedicated practice, you may notice how samadhi transforms your life beyond the meditation cushion. The same calm clarity that arises in formal sessions begins to infuse daily activities. In conversations, you listen more deeply and respond with greater presence. In tasks, you move with mindful ease, rather than rushing or dragging. In challenges, you feel the steady center that allows creative solutions to emerge. This integration of samadhi into waking life is the true hallmark of mastery. Concentration becomes not an isolated skill, but a way of being. Yet even the deepest samadhi states carry the potential for further insight, vipassana. When concentration is sufficiently refined, the mind becomes a precise instrument, capable of probing the fundamental nature of phenomena. In seamless absorption, you can turn the full force of focused awareness onto the three marks of existence: impermanence, unsatisfactoriness, and For instance, while in a state of deep stillness, gently direct attention to the body and observe how subtle fluctuations of sensation arise and subsist within the unified field of awareness. Notice the arising, abiding, and passing away of each micro-sensation, as if you are watching millions of fleeting bubbles rise and pop in an ocean of consciousness. This direct seeing dissolves the illusion of solidity and separation, revealing the continuous flow of conditioned phenomena. Similarly, in the spacious silence of samadhi, you may tune into the subtlest currents of emotion and thought, perceiving them as streams of energy rather than fixed entities. A fleeting flicker of anxiety or desire can be encountered as a bare phenomenon. Here is tension. Here is longing, before it accrues momentum. In such moments, insight dawns not as a concept, but as an immediate realization that all mental events are fabrications of conditioning, passing guests in the theater of awareness, and not the master to whom we must bow. As these insights deepen, samadhi serves as the wellspring from which wisdom and compassion flow unceasingly. The still mind becomes a clear lamp that illuminates the hidden corners of the psyche, exposing patterns of reactivity and opening space for transformation. Compassion arises naturally as the heart recognizes its own ground in the hearts of others. Wisdom arises as the mind sees through the veils of ignorance. Together they form the two wings that carry the practitioner toward awakening and liberation. In the final stages of samadhi practice, traditional texts speak of four formless absorptions: fields of boundless space, boundless consciousness, nothingness, and neither perception nor non-perception. These states transcend all material forms, offering a glimpse into realms of subtle existence. While profound, they are not ends in themselves. Rather, they prepare the mind for the supreme realization of nibbana, the unconditioned, deathless state beyond all formations. At the threshold of such realization, samadhi and vipassana merge inseparably. The still mirror of concentration reflects the luminous emptiness of all phenomena, and insight into emptiness frees the mind from all restraint. Yet one need not pursue formless absorptions to reap the benefits of samadhi. Even modest levels of concentration, 15 to 20 minutes of stable focus on the breath, can transform daily life, fostering resilience, emotional balance, and clarity of purpose. The humble practitioner who returns to the cushion day after day, closing the eyes, resting in the breath, and renewing intention with sincerity, lays the groundwork for profound awakening. As you prepare to rest tonight, set aside any ambition or judgment about how your meditation should be. Simply return to the breath with curiosity and kindness, meeting distraction as an old friend and offering it a guest room of awareness. Welcome piti and sukha when they arise, yet let them flow on gently. Keep the balance between relaxed ease and alert focus, as if polishing a mirror free of dust and distortion. When the lamp of concentration burns steadily, let its glow accompany you into sleep, illuminating the landscapes of dreams with clarity. In moments of dreamful restlessness, drop anchor in the breath and allow the ripples of dream to settle into the calm depths you have cultivated. In this way, samadhi practice extends beyond formal sessions, infusing every threshold with mindful presence. By morning's light, you awaken not only rested in body, but clear in mind. Each inhalation carries the fragrance of stillness. Each exhalation releases the last remnants of tension. As you rise, carry this flower of samadhi in your heart, letting its petals open in every moment, whether walking, speaking, or simply breathing. In the rhythm of life, you discover that the stillness you cultivated at night becomes a luminous presence in the day, guiding your steps with effortless grace and unwavering presence. Thus, the path of samadhi, when walked with devotion and wisdom, leads not to stagnation, but to a living source of clarity and compassion. Amid shifting circumstances and changing hours, the lamp of concentration remains alight, teaching us that true rest lies not in escape from experience, but in meeting it with full awareness. In this meeting, every moment becomes an opportunity to awaken into peace, into joy, and into the boundless radiance of the mind-free. Chapter 9. Weaving the Threefold Path into Daily Life. In the quiet hours between slumber and waking, the practices you have cultivated, mindful presence, awareness of impermanence, courageous compassion, clear wisdom, ethical integrity, sympathetic joy, and deep concentration, begin to converge into a living tapestry. Yet true mastery unfolds not only on the meditation cushion or in the hush of the night, but in the vibrant canvas of daily existence. This chapter guides you in weaving the threefold training of body, speech, and mind into every moment of your life, so that the awakening you experience in practice becomes the very fabric of your being. As dawn's soft glow seeps into your room, resist the urge to leap from bed in a rush of obligation. Instead, linger in the borderland between sleep and wakefulness, allowing the continuity of practice to flow seamlessly into the new day. Feel the weight of your body against the mattress, the slow expansion of your lungs, the gentle pulse beneath your skin. In this unhurried awareness, you honor the lamp of presence lit in Chapter 1, tending it with the same calm attention you apply to each inhalation and exhalation. When you finally sit up, let the first movement be a conscious bow to existence itself. Feel each vertebra stretch, each joint awaken, as though you are tuning an instrument for the symphony of life. In Buddhist teaching, this intention is called uplifting the mind, Anumadana, a dedication of merit that acknowledges the precious opportunity to practice ethically and compassionately. Silently affirm, may all beings be well. May I carry mindfulness, wisdom, and kindness throughout this day. In this way, your waking actions become an offering, uniting the personal and the universal. Body as the anchor of awareness. Throughout the day, your body serves as the ever-present anchor that returns you to the here and now. When washing your face, feel the cool water as it meets your cheeks. Sense the gentle pressure of the washcloth against skin. Appreciate the warmth of the towel as it dries your face. Each gesture, no matter how mundane, becomes a portal to mindfulness when performed with full attention. In the bustle of a morning routine, brushing teeth, tying shoelaces, buttoning a shirt, pause between steps to feel the slightest shift in balance. The subtle interplay of muscles and bones. Notice how your posture affects your mood. A straight spine can invite clarity. A slumped shoulder may harbor tension. By using the body as your meditation object, you integrate shamatha practice into every movement, dissolving the boundary between formal sitting and active living. As you walk, whether to the kitchen, the car, or the office, practice mindful walking. Feel the contact of foot on ground, heel touching first, weight rolling through the arch, toes lifting to release. Let each step be a vow to remain present, an embodied echo of the equanimity cultivated in Chapter 2. When the mind wanders, note the distraction and draw it back to the tactile reality of motion. In traffic, transform impatience into practice by feeling the grip of the steering wheel, the hum of the engine, the tension in your shoulders as you wait. Embrace these interruptions, not as obstacles, but as invitations to deepen your rootedness in the body's rhythm. Speech as an expression of compassion and truth. Words carry formidable power. They can wound or heal, divide or unite. The training of mindful speech begins with simple awareness of inner dialogue. Before uttering a single word, listen to your mental script. Are you rehearsing complaints, judgments, or anxieties? Observe these patterns without self-recrimination, then transform them through the light of compassion. Recall the precept of right speech, to abstain from falsehood, divisive words, harsh language, and idle chatter. Use the pause between thought and utterance as a sacred space in which compassion can arise. When you speak, let your words be guided by 3 intentions: kindness, clarity, and authenticity. Kindness softens the tone, reminding you that each listener carries vulnerabilities. Clarity ensures that your meaning is understood, reducing the likelihood of misunderstanding and conflict. Authenticity anchors you in honesty, liberating you from the exhaustion of pretense. Together, these qualities align body, speech, and mind, fostering trust and connection in every conversation. In moments of tension, when confronted with criticism, disagreement, or anger, breathe deeply before responding. This simple act invokes the compassionate courage taught in Chapter 3, diffusing reactivity and creating the possibility for skillful communication. If silence feels safer than words, allow it. A mindful pause can prevent the eruption of unskillful language and provide space for reflection. Over time, you will discover that thoughtful speech, even if brief, leaves a more enduring positive impact than a torrent of unchecked commentary. Mind is the garden of intentions. The mind is the origin of all actions. It plants the seeds that grow into word and deed. Just as a gardener tends to soil, we tend to the mental landscape by cultivating wholesome intentions and uprooting unwholesome ones. Begin each task, whether replying to an email, preparing a meal, or washing dishes, with a moment of conscious intention. Ask yourself, what motivates this action? Will it lead to benefit or harm? By aligning intention with the principles of wisdom, Chapter 5, and ethical conduct, Chapter 6, you ensure that your deeds spring from integrity rather than impulse. When unwholesome thoughts arise, such as envy, greed, or ill will, recognize them as invasive weeds. Instead of suppressing them with harsh self-judgment, gently pluck them from the field of awareness. Note their presence. Here is envy, here is anger, and compost them with the fertilizer of compassion. Remember that every mental event is conditioned and impermanent. By turning toward discomfort rather than fleeing it, you transform mental afflictions into opportunities for insight and growth. Mindful engagement with technology and media. In modern life, screens and devices beckon us incessantly, fragmenting attention and feeding reactivity. To integrate the path into this domain, establish mindful guidelines for technology use. Before checking messages or social media, pause to connect with the body. Feel your feet on the floor, your breath in the belly. Then set an intention. I will engage with awareness, kindness, and discernment. Notice how digital content triggers emotions. A heated headline may provoke anger. An image may incite longing. A comment may stir defensiveness. Instead of reflexively scrolling, breathe, note the sensation, and choose whether to continue or to return to your primary task. When you write emails or messages, bring the same threefold attention: body, speech, mind, to the composition. Sit upright, wrist relaxed. Choose words that convey empathy and clarity. Reflect on your intention. Are you informing, requesting, or merely venting? Let your digital interactions become extensions of your meditation practice, arenas for the exercise of compassion and wisdom rather than sources of mindless distraction. Cultivating continuous presence. The ultimate integration of practice occurs when every act, from the moment you awaken until the moment you rest, becomes an occasion for mindfulness. As you eat breakfast, feel the textures, flavors, and nourishment flowing in your body. As you engage in conversation, listen with your full attention, allowing the other's words to resonate in your mind without the interference of internal commentary. As you perform your work, whether it involves hands, mind, or both, approach each task as if you were kneading dough for the first time, marveling at its pliancy and potential. Inevitably, mind-wandering and distraction will arise. When they do, resist the urge to berate yourself. Instead, pause, feel your feet, drop into the breath, and gently redirect attention to the present moment. Each return strengthens the neural pathways of mindfulness, making presence increasingly habitual. Over weeks and months, you will notice that the spaces between distractions widen, and the undercurrent of calm awareness holds your experience more steadily. Integrating formal and informal practice, formal meditation sessions, and nightly practices lay the foundation for informal mindfulness in daily life. Treat them as two sides of the same coin, rather than separate endeavors. For example, the equanimity you cultivate in Chapter 2's nighttime reflections can inform your response to a sudden crisis at work. The compassion generated in Chapter 4's evening practice can guide a tender conversation with a loved one. The concentration honed in Chapter 8's samadhi exercises can support sustained focus during a complex project. To reinforce this integration, periodically review the days unfolding each evening. Before sleep, recall moments when mindfulness was present and times when it faltered. Offer gratitude for each step on the path, forgiving yourself for missteps, and recommit to embodying the awakened qualities you hold dear. In this reflective ritual, the day's experiences become raw material for growth, rather than fuel for regret. The ripple effect of embodied practice. As you live with mindful integration, you will discover that your inner transformation radiates outward. Calm presence fosters trust in relationships. Compassionate speech diffuses conflicts. Ethical actions inspire others to uphold integrity. Small ripples of kindness and awareness multiply through families, friendships, and communities, creating a supportive field for collective awakening. Moreover, embodied practice deepens your resilience in the face of life's upheavals, loss, illness, change. Inevitable facets of human existence are met with the tools of mindfulness, equanimity, and compassion. You learn to hold sorrow without drowning in it, to confront fear without shrinking from it, and to welcome joy without clinging to it. Each challenge becomes a teacher, pointing the way to deeper insight and freedom. A living Dharma, ultimately, weaving the threefold path of body, speech, and mind into daily life, transforms the Dharma from an abstract ideal into a living presence. Practice ceases to be a compartmentalized activity and becomes the continuous expression of your true nature. The lamp of awareness shines not only in formal meditation, but in every glance, every breath, every heartbeat. Wisdom, compassion, joy, and ethical integrity are no longer distant goals, but intimate companions on the journey of life. Tonight, as you return to the threshold of sleep, rest in the fullness of this integration. Feel the continuity of your practice coursing through each cell, guiding your dreams and informing your waking steps. Know that every moment, however ordinary, offers the fertile ground for awakening. In this way, the path you walk becomes not a linear progression but a spiraling dance, ever deepening, ever unfolding, until each breath itself reveals the boundless radiance of your own awakened heart. May your life be a living embodiment of the Dharma, a song of mindful presence and compassionate action that resonates through the world. And may each night's rest carry you into deeper harmony with every aspect of being, so that, moment by moment, you awaken more fully to the luminous freedom that is your birthright.
Chapter 10. Embracing the Web of Interdependence.
Night settles gently upon the world, casting a soft veil over mountains, oceans, and cities alike. In this quiet darkness, we find a sacred threshold, where the boundaries between self and other begin to blur, revealing an intricate web of life in which every being, seen and unseen, is woven together in a vast tapestry of cause and effect. This chapter invites you to rest into the profound truth of interdependence, the realization that no phenomenon exists in isolation, and that the health of each thread in the web sustains the flourishing of the whole. As you drift towards sleep, let the echo of interconnectedness carry you into dreams of unity and awaken you to the living world that pulses beneath every breath. Begin by drawing your attention inward to the gentle rise and fall of your chest. Feel the air as it journeys from the outer world into the sanctum of your lungs, nourishing each cell and then returning once more to mingle with the atmosphere that enfolds the earth. In this simple cycle, you touch the first link in the chain of interdependence. The breath of life is not merely yours, but shared with every creature that draws air, birds in flight, fish beneath the waves, the silent trees that exhale oxygen in exchange for carbon. Sense how your own breathing is a conversation with the lungs of the world, an exchange that has no beginning and no end. Let your awareness expand outward from your body into the realm of sensation. Notice the gentle pressure of the mattress against your back, the way gravity anchors you to the ground, the subtle warmth that radiates from beneath you. Each of these experiences is made possible by countless causes. The cotton or synthetic fibers woven into your sheets, grown from crops, fertilized by decaying leaves, the minerals in the mattress's springs, forged in the depths of the earth, the gravitational pull of our planet, governed by forces that bind the moon and stars in cosmic dance. In this moment, you stand at the confluence of myriad streams of energy and matter, converging to support the simple miracle of your rest. As you sink deeper into this awareness, turn your attention to the life force that animates your body. Feel the pulse in your wrists, the steady beating of your heart, the rhythmic peristalsis that moves food into nourishment. Each biological process unfolds through a collaboration of microscopic beings. Bacteria in your gut, breaking down nutrients, viruses and fungi, maintaining ecological balance, cells communicating via chemical messengers, woven from the fabric of proteins and nucleic acids. Within you resides an entire universe, a biome of life forms that depend upon one another and upon the larger ecosystem of soil, water, and sunlight. You are not a solitary monad, but a living nexus, a meeting point for the cooperation of billions of life forms working in quiet harmony. Now let your awareness drift beyond the perimeter of your room into the night air. Imagine the quiet hum of life all around you, the distant hoot of an owl hunting its prey, the faint rustle of nocturnal insects stirring in grass, the low murmur of the wind rippling through leaves. In these nocturnal sounds, you hear the unfolding drama of predator and prey, of pollinators seeking nectar and flowers, offering their sweetness in return, of seeds drifting on breezes to colonize new soil. Each melody of sound and movement testifies to the dynamic equilibrium of the natural world, where every life both consumes and contributes to the sustenance of others. As you rest into this vast network, consider the human communities that shape your own existence. Recall the water you drank today, flowing from distant glaciers or mountain springs, channeled through pipes to bring refreshment to your lips. Think of the grains that formed your meals, grown by farmers whose labor is guided by the changing seasons, processed by workers who grind, mill, and bake, then transported across lands and seas to reach your table. The clothes on your back, the electronics at your fingertips, the roads that carry you from place to place, all bear witness to an immense collaboration of skill, creativity, and care. Your life is made possible by the unseen hands of countless individuals, each playing a part in an unfolding story of shared effort. In Buddhist insight, this vast matrix of causation is called pratitya samutpada, dependent origination. It teaches that every event arises through conditions, and that nothing possesses an intrinsic, independent existence. When we understand that our joys and sorrows ripple through this web, we awaken to a profound responsibility for our actions. A single word can comfort or wound. A single choice can preserve or deplete. A single intention can uplift or undermine. As you lie poised between wakefulness and sleep, reflect on the power inherent in each moment and the opportunity to act with reverence for the interwoven nature of all things. Allow these reflections to deepen your compassion. Imagine those whom you cherish, family, friends, mentors, and trace the threads that connect your life to theirs. The first breath drawn in a shared hospital room, the tears shed in moments of empathy, the laughter echoing across a dinner table. Each affectionate memory reveals how sources of happiness and healing flow through relationships, sustaining you when times grow dark. Now extend this vision to the countless others you have never met. Workers who harvested coffee beans at dawn, artisans who wove garments, strangers who cleared the roads in winter's chill. Sense the gratitude that arises when you recognize the invisible networks supporting tiny miracles of your daily life. In the depths of awareness, pain and loss too reveal their place in the web. When we suffer illness, the pain is not solely ours, but shared by those who care for us. The doctors and nurses whose vigilance saves lives. The family members whose sleepless nights bear witness to our fragility. When ecosystems wither under drought or wildfire, human and non-human beings alike taste the bitterness of scarcity. The displaced communities, the lost species, the swallowed homes, all speak to the perilous balance we share with the planet. Yet from this shared vulnerability arises the possibility of collective awakening. When we see that our fates intertwine, we find the courage to act for the welfare of all. Resting in this web of interdependence, you may sense an awakening of bodhicitta, the awakened heart-mind that aspires to liberate all beings from suffering. Bodhicitta arises naturally when the bundis between self and other dissolve in the light of compassion. As you drift towards sleep, let the aspiration arise. May all beings be free from suffering. May all beings awaken to their own true nature. Feel how this intention resonates in the quiet chambers of your heart, sending ripples through the tapestry of consciousness and aligning your dreams with the welfare of the many. To embody interdependence in daily life, place attention on the simple act of eating. As you nourish your body, imagine the entire chain of life that brought this meal to your plate. The soil enriched by compost, the water drawn from rivers, the sunlight captured by leaves, the pollinators flitting from bloom to bloom. Taste each morsel with mindfulness, acknowledging the generosity of the earth and the symphony of cooperation it takes to sustain you. Let each bite become a ritual of gratitude, a reminder that the health of your body depends on the health of the planet and all its inhabitants. Similarly, when you consume information, news, social media, stories, practice discernment, tempered by compassion. Notice how words and images carry power to shape perceptions, kindle empathy, or inflame division. Recognize that the narratives you encounter are themselves products of human lives, histories, and intentions. Before sharing, pausing allows you to consider whether your contribution supports connection or amplifies discord. In this way, you honor the interdependence of mind and message, using communication as a means to uplift the collective consciousness rather than fragment it. Our technology, too, can reflect interdependence when wielded consciously. Think of your device as a gateway to human creativity spanning continents. Honor the energy expended to mine minerals, the ingenuity behind software, the global networks routing data beneath oceans. With each click or tap, engage with intention. Will this interaction foster understanding, delight, or learning? Will it strengthen the bonds that tie you to fellow beings, or sever them through heedless distraction? Let your digital presence become a testament to the principle that even in virtual spaces, we remain bound to one another's welfare. In the stillness of night, you may perceive the living earth itself, a swirling sphere of water, land and sky dancing in cosmic harmony. Our planet breathes. Tides ebb and flow beneath the pull of the moon. Winds trace invisible currents across deserts and oceans. Volcanic fires shape new landforms, and the seasons cycle ceaselessly. Through satellite eyes, we glimpse the fragility of the ozone layer, the warming of seas, the retreat of glaciers. These planetary processes teach us that interdependence scales from the minuscule to the monumental, and that our stewardship carries consequences far beyond personal horizons. When you feel the pull of separation, anxiety that I am alone, or frustration that they do not understand me, return to the breath and the knowing that every inhale gathers the essence of countless lives, and every exhale reaches out in offering. This simple practice anchors you in the realization that you are a thread in the vast web, inseparable from the cosmos of sentient and non-sentient beings. When the heart remembers this unity, fear dissolves, compassion expands, and the longing for connection finds its fulfillment in the shared breath of life. In meditative silence, you might engage in a guided reflection on the circle of your own life. Picture yourself as a node in a luminous network. Above you, ancestors whose choices shaped the world you inherited. Around you, those with whom you share work and friendship. Below you, future generations whose lives will hinge on the actions you take today. Beyond you, all beings with whom you share the web of suffering and joy. Offer respect to each quarter of this circle, recognizing that your freedom is bound to the freedom of others. Let this vision inform your dreams, guiding your night toward a sense of kinship that transcends race, species, and time itself. As you move toward deeper sleep, you may notice images or sensations arising without your volition. Dreamscapes that echo the theme of interconnection. Greet these visions with mindful curiosity. Note the emotions they evoke, the relationships they portray, the lessons they hint at. Even in the shifting realm of dreams, the principle of interdependence weaves through every scene, reminding you that no moment exists in isolation. In lucid awareness, you can practice sending waves of metta-loving kindness to each character you encounter, extending the circle of compassion until it embraces the entire dream world. Upon waking, carry this vision into the world of form. Before you rise, place a hand on your heart. Feel the warmth of life coursing through you, and silently acknowledge the countless conditions that sustain your being. Step onto the floor with reverence, knowing that beneath your feet lie soils teeming with microorganisms, mycorrhizal networks linking root to root, insects aerating the earth for plant growth. Each footfall becomes a reminder that your path is shared, and that your well-being depends on walking gently upon the world. Throughout the day, let the interdependent wisdom you have gleaned guide your choices. Whether you decide to conserve water, reduce waste, support fair trade, or simply offer a kind word to a stranger, recognize that even small actions reverberate through the web, influencing unseen lives and shaping future. When faced with despair at the scale of global challenges, climate change, social injustice, species extinction, remember that collective transformation arises from countless individual commitments. The single drop of compassion you contribute ripples outward, merging with others to form currents of positive change. As dusk returns and the cycle of day yields to night once more, revisit the practice of breathing along the edge of wakefulness and sleep. Feel anew how each inhale draws from a shared reservoir of air, and each exhale returns gift-laden breath to the world. In this sacred exchange, you find the heart of interdependence, a dance of giving and receiving that sustains all life. Rest in the knowledge that you are never truly separate. Your joys and sorrows, your hopes and fears, your actions and intentions weave together with every other being, forming the vibrant living tapestry of existence. May this awareness guide your dreams and animate your waking hours as you walk through the world with gratitude, humility, and steadfast compassion. In recognizing our place within the boundless web, we awaken to a freedom that is not solitary, but shared. A freedom that blooms only when every thread is honored, nurtured, and held in the luminous embrace of interbeing. Thus, each breath becomes a prayer, each step a vow, and each heartbeat a testament to the wondrous interdependence of all life. May your journey continue in harmony with the whole, and may the web of interdependence sing its silent song of unity through every fiber of your being. Chapter 11. The Dance of Emptiness and Form. As the world settles into a hush before dawn, a luminous invitation emerges from the silent heart of being, to dwell not only in what is manifest, but also in the vast open space in which all phenomena arise and dissolve. This chapter explores the profound harmony between emptiness, shunyata, and form, rupa, the dynamic interplay that underlies every experience. In Buddhist wisdom, emptiness does not denote a nihilistic void, but a boundless openness, a fertile matrix in which the dance of life unfolds. As you drift between wakefulness and sleep, allow these reflections to unveil the liberating power of recognizing both the transparency and the richness of existence. Rest comfortably, and let the body soften into the support beneath you. As you close your eyes, bring awareness to the gentle rhythm of your breath. Notice how each inhalation draws in sensation, thought, and life itself, and each exhalation releases the same back into the field of awareness. In this ebb and flow, you perceive a fundamental truth. The shapes of experience, sensations, emotions, ideas, are transient forms that appear within and pass through consciousness. Yet underlying every form there is an open expanse, an ungraspable dimension that cannot be pinned down by words or concepts. Imagine a flawless mirror. In its surface, all images, mountains, streams, faces, can appear with perfect clarity, yet the mirror itself remains unchanged by the reflections it bears. Similarly, your awareness functions as the clear ground in which every passing phenomenon arises. When you trace the lineage of a thought, feeling, or bodily sensation, you discover that it has a cause and a shape, but no fixed, independent essence. Each experience is empty of an autonomous self-nature, yet vividly present as an apparent form. Embracing this union of emptiness and form dissolves the barrier between subject and object, liberating you from the sense of being a separate entity trapped in a world of external things. To explore this more intimately, bring your attention to the texture of sensation at the margins of sleep, the gentle flutter behind closed eyelids, the faint hum of background sounds, the subtle dance of warmth and coolness on the skin. Notice how these tones shift with every breath, emerging and fading like waves on the shore. Label them silently. Hearing, seeing, touching, and in the naming, recognize their fluid nature. Each label dissolves the solidity of the experience, reminding you that there is nothing to cling to, nothing that abides beyond its brief moment of appearance. Within this spacious awareness, rest in the quality of emptiness itself. It may feel like a vast sky, clear, boundless, unmeasured by time or direction. Thoughts and feelings may drift across its horizon like clouds. Notice how clouds neither taint nor alter the sky. They simply pass. In the same way, mental events do not stain the radiance of awareness. Their intrinsic emptiness prevents them from finding a permanent foothold. This experiential recognition is liberating because it reveals that suffering arises only when we mistake impermanent forms for lasting realities, when we clutch at passing emotions or identify with transient self-images. Yet, emptiness is never separate from form. The two are like two sides of a single coin. To illustrate this, consider the example of a clay pot. The shape of the pot exists only because of the space within. Without emptiness, there is no receptacle. The emptiness of the pot allows it to hold water, grains, or light. Similarly, your mind's emptiness provides the space for thoughts, perceptions, and emotions to arise. This mutual belonging, form and emptiness in form, is at the heart of the Heart Sutra, which instructs, form is emptiness is form. By resting in this insight, the barriers of fear and craving begin to melt. To embody this realization more fully, bring awareness to an area of persistent tension, perhaps in the shoulders, jaw, or chest. Notice the sensation as it arises, its shape, intensity, and location. Then, instead of tightening against it, allow the quality of emptiness to seep into the sensation itself. Imagine the tension dissolving into the open space of awareness, as though dissolving sugar in water. Consciously soften around the area, feeling the emptiness both within and surrounding the tension. In this simple practice, the energy of resistance transforms. The knotted muscle relaxes, not by force, but by acknowledging its empty nature. Likewise, as thoughts or emotions surface, worry about tomorrow, regret about yesterday, desire for pleasure, notice their distinct textures. A thought may feel like ripples across the pond of consciousness. An emotion may pulsate like a distant drumbeat. Name each: thinking, feeling, wishing, then inquire gently, where did it come from? You discover causes and conditions, a memory, a sensation, a perception, but no inherent self-nature. Each experience is a pattern of interdependent elements, empty of independent essence. By seeing this, fear of change fades, for you realize that nothing solid can slip away. There is only the play of form within emptiness. From this ground, wisdom prajna naturally arises. The intellect may understand emptiness as a philosophical concept, but direct insight comes when awareness and form merge seamlessly. In the dance of sweet images that accompany drifting off to sleep, those half-formed dream images that hover at the edge of consciousness, you have a precious laboratory for practicing this union. Notice a dream fragment, perhaps a face, a place, or a gesture. Recognize its vividness and then gently shift attention to the emptiness from which it sprang. Sense how the dream dissolves when you rest attention on the open space that underlies it. In so doing, you integrate the insight into your dream realm, transforming nightmares into fluid investigations of mind. As emptiness and form unfold in tandem, the qualities of compassion and joy blossom more freely. When you see that others' joys and sorrows lack inherent substance, but are vivid currents in the play of form, your heart opens. You recognize their pain as not personal suffering, but as ripples in the ocean of being, and your compassion arises without resistance. Similarly, when uplifting experiences arise, moments of connection, beauty, or celebration, you savor them fully, knowing they are bright forms dancing in the field of emptiness. This balanced openness underpins the middle way, avoiding both nihilistic despair and clinging attachment. During your nightly practice, you might engage in a simple contemplative reflection. Recall a challenging interaction or thought from the day, one that left a sense of heaviness. In the theater of your mind's eye, replay the scene briefly, noticing the forms, words said, gestures made, emotions felt. Then shift to the field of emptiness. Rest attention on the open space in which these forms now appear as mental images. Sense the liberating expansiveness beneath, every moment of contraction. In this dual awareness, patterns of reactivity transform. They lose their grip, and fresh responses rooted in clarity and compassion emerge. In the depths of samadhi, those moments of tranquil absorption, explored in Chapter 8, the boundary between emptiness and form becomes even more subtle. In deep concentration, forms arise as luminous presences within a silent milieu. Each thought appears as a discrete star in the night sky of consciousness, shimmering against an infinite backdrop. Resting in that intimate stillness, you gain direct access to the luminous nature of mind itself, an experience described in Mahayana texts as the clear light. By sustaining this awareness in the threshold of sleep, you invite profound insights and stabilizing clarity to flow through your dream. The culminating practice of this chapter is a simple but transformative exercise you can do at any moment. Pause, rest, attention on the immediate sensation or perception before you. Sound, sight, taste, feeling, and then sense the open space that allows it to appear. With eyes open or closed, bring this balancing awareness into the next breath, the next thought, the next word. Notice how speech and gesture flow more naturally, guided by the deep understanding that form arises within emptiness. The habitual tendency to grasp or reject dissolves, and actions become spontaneous expressions of wisdom and compassion. As dawn's first rays filter through your window, carry the dance of emptiness and form into the new day. Before rising, close your eyes for a final moment and rest in the seamless ground of awareness. Feel the interplay of solidity and openness in your body, mind, and environment. Let this embodied insight guide you as you move through each activity, conversations, tasks, moments of quiet reflection, knowing that each form you encounter is both vividly real and empty of independent essence. Through consistent practice, the realization of emptiness and form becomes a lived experience, rather than an abstract doctrine. You discover that every moment is a call to awaken, every sensation an invitation to rest in liberating openness. The luminous play of form and emptiness transforms from a philosophical ideal into the very texture of daily life. Fear softens, compassion deepens, and joy dances freely in the boundless expanse of awareness. Tonight, as you settle into sleep once again, rest in the space that underlies all shapes. Let the dance continue in your dreams, weaving a seamless fabric of wisdom, compassion, and presence. And may each breath you draw remind you that you are both the dancer and the dance, both the mirror and the reflection, living in perfect harmony within the eternal interplay of emptiness and form. Chapter 12. Awakening in the Tapestry of Everyday Existence. As the first light of morning filters through the veil of sleep, a fresh call arises to carry the silent depths of our nocturnal practice into the vibrant tapestry of daily life. In this chapter, we weave the threads of insight, compassion, and presence, kindled in late-night stillness, into the fabric of our waking worlds, discovering that each ordinary moment holds the seed of awakening. The boundary between meditation cushion and kitchen countertop, between serene dawn and bustling day, dissolves in recognition of a single truth, that every breath, every movement, and every encounter can become a doorway to the boundless awareness at our core. Linger, upon waking, in the threshold between dreaming and activity. Let the residual softness of night remain as a gentle companion while you stretch your limbs and open your eyes. Feel the luminous residue of emptiness and form, like faint after images upon the eyelids. As you draw in the first conscious breath, notice the subtle echo of the practices that guided you to sleep. The mindful anchor of presence, the recognition of impermanence, the courage born from befriending fear, the warmth of compassion, the radiance of joy, the depth of concentration, and the living interplay of emptiness and form. All these qualities, woven together, form a field of potential that extends into every corner of your day. Carry this field into your morning routine. As you rise, feel the weight of your body being supported by the floor. Notice how the simple act of standing unfolds as a microcosm of awakening, the faithful negotiation of balance, the articulation of joints, the silent collaboration of muscles, each movement, placing the feet upon the ground, lifting the arms to stretch, turning the head to greet the new day becomes an extension of the practice, a seamless expression of presence and mindfulness. In the bathroom, attend to the ritual of washing. Let the water flowing over your hands and face become a living meditation. Observe the texture of each droplet, its temperature, the sound it makes as it meets the porcelain of the sink. Notice the sensation of rinsing away both physical and mental residue, tension, drowsiness, worry, into the drain, returning them to the cycle of flow. With each inhalation, drink in clarity. With each exhalation, release judgment and hate. In this simple interplay, discover that the profound need not be separate from the mundane. As you prepare your morning meal, engage all your senses. Feel the smooth surface of a ceramic mug as you wrap your fingers around it. Listen to the gentle hiss of steam, the aroma of ground beans or steeping leaves. Taste each sip slowly, allowing the warm liquid to awaken the palate. Notice how flavor unfolds, subtle sweetness, bitter undertones, the lingering aftertaste. In each moment of mindful eating or drinking, the continuity of practice emerges effortlessly, anchoring your awareness in the present and fostering gratitude for life's most elemental pleasures. Departing the home, let the world outside become an ever-shifting canvas of practice. In every footstep along the sidewalk or hallway, tune into the flow between heel and toe, the gentle contraction and redness of muscles, the interplay of gravity and momentum. Extend your mindfulness outward. Feel the sun's warmth or the cool chill of air on your skin. Hear the symphony of urban or natural sounds, the distant roar of traffic, birdsong, the hum of conversation. In these moments, presence reveals that each environment, no matter how familiar, holds infinite novelty when perceived with fresh eyes. Encounters with others offer rich opportunities to cultivate awakening in relationship. In greeting a friend, colleague, or stranger, notice the quality of your attention. Is it distracted or fully present? Let eye contact serve as a bridge, allowing warmth and genuine interest to flow between hearts. Speak with intention, choosing words that reflect kindness, clarity, and authenticity. In listening, create a spaciousness that welcomes another's story without rushing to respond. Each dialogue thus becomes a conversation with presence itself, a living meditation that honors the dignity and interconnectedness of all being. Work life, too, transforms under the embrace of integrated practice. Whether engaged in creative tasks, administrative duties, or collaborative projects, approach each assignment as a field for experiential learning. When challenges arise, tight deadlines, complex emails, technical glitches, notice the habitual reactions of stress or frustration. Instead of resisting, pause, breathe, and acknowledge the sensations that accompany difficulty. Then, invite the qualities of patience and equanimity to guide your response. By meeting obstacles with clarity and calm resolve, you cultivate resilience and deepen the soil in which insight and innovation can grow. In moments of break or leisure, resist the urge to default to habitual distraction, endless scrolling, reactive email checks, or mindless snacking. Instead, intentionally step into mindful pause. Feel the ground beneath your feet or chair. Observe the breath and listen to the internal landscape. Thoughts, emotions, and bodily sensations. Offer yourself the simple gift of presence and self-compassion, acknowledging the value of rest and reflection as integral to sustained awakening. As day transitions into evening, recognize the subtle shift in energy and tone. The fading light invites us to slow down, to revisit the practices that guided us before sleep. In the kitchen, the preparation of dinner can mirror the morning ritual, mindful chopping of vegetables, the sizzle of oil, the aroma of spices weaving a tapestry of sensory delight. Each act, infused with awareness, becomes nourishment not only for the body but for the mind and heart. Gathering with loved ones or community members, extend a circle of practice into shared presence. Create intentional space for attentive listening, authentic sharing, and compassionate support. Let the principles of right speech and ethical conduct ground your interactions, ensuring that connection arises from integrity and mutual respect. As bedtime approaches, prepare for the return to the silent field of practice. Dim the lights and escort the body and mind toward rest. Engage in a brief reflection on the day's unfolding. Recall moments of mindful ease, instances of compassionate action, flashes of insight, and occasions where presence waned. Offer gratitude for each experience, both effortless and challenging, understanding that every moment contributes to the tapestry of awakening. With gentle intention, set the stage for sleep, nurturing the continuity between formal practice and nightly rest. In the quietude that follows, let the residual warmth of the day's integrated practice serve as the lantern that guides you into dreams. Feel how the threads of insight, compassion, and clarity woven throughout your waking hours continue to vibrate in the subtle realms of the mind. Trust that the habits cultivated by intentional living do not cease at the threshold of consciousness, but resonate through the night, deepening wisdom and resilience. Throughout this chapter, we witness that awakening is not a distant summit, but a living path. Each moment, an invitation to embody the Dharma with our entire being. By weaving the threads of insight, presence, and compassion into the tapestry of everyday existence, we dissolve the illusion of separation between sacred and profane, revealing that the path of liberation flows through every breath, every step, every act of kindness. And so, as your day and night merge, may you discover that the lantern of awakening you carry illuminates not only your own journey, but casts its gentle radiance upon all beings, weaving a world awake with boundless possibility. Chapter 13. The unfolding of boundless awareness in every breath. In the soft glow of both dawn and dusk, there emanates a whisper of continuity, a silent reminder that every breath we draw is not a singular event, but part of an endless ebb and flow that unites every moment of our lives. This chapter invites you to dive deeply into the very essence of breathing, exploring how conscious engagement with each inhalation and exhalation can serve as a gateway to boundless awareness. In the delicate space between breaths lies a profound invitation to recognize that awareness itself is beyond measure, beyond limits, and yet intimately present in each subtle rise and fall of the lungs. Begin by reclining or sitting in a position that feels both relaxed and dignified. Close your eyes, or if you prefer, allow them to rest gently on a single point. Direct your attention to the tip of the nostrils, where the breath first registers, as a soft coolness on the in-breath and a gentle warmth on the out-breath. Do not alter the breath. Simply observe it as it is moving through its natural rhythm. Notice the unbroken continuity in which each inhalation seamlessly transforms into an exhalation, and each exhalation into a new inhalation. This is the dance of life itself, a perpetual cycle that needs no prompting, no force, simply the moment-by-moment surrender to its own intelligence. As you settle into this observation, notice how thought arises around the breath. Perhaps you judge it as too shallow, too quick, or too deep. Gently bring awareness to these secondary layers. Awareness of awareness, clarity of clarity. Label the judgments as thinking, and let them rest in the same spacious field as the breath itself. With practice, your attention grows less entangled with commentary and more intimate with the direct sensation of breathing. You discover that in witnessing the breath, without overlay, you touch the pure immediacy of experience, unmediated by mental constructs. Shift now to a more open awareness that includes the entire torso. Feel the subtle expansion of the rib cage, the rise of the diaphragm, The gentle movement in the belly. Notice how the breath becomes a tide affecting the whole body. Each cell, each tissue, bathed in the flow of life force. In this full-bodied awareness, the breath transforms from a single point of sensation into a wave that rolls through the whole vessel of your being. Experience the interpenetration of breath and body. Form arising within emptiness and emptiness suffusing form. Allow your attention to broaden further, transforming into a panoramic embrace of all experiencing. You are not merely observing the breath, you are that luminous awareness in which all phenomena, breathing, thoughts, sensations arise and Here, subject and object merge. You are neither separate witness nor isolated event, but the boundless field in which breathing unfolds. Spend several minutes resting in this expanded presence, observing how spaciousness and movement co-arise as inseparable dimensions of existence. From this open ground, the next step is to explore the silent pause between breaths. Beneath the surface currents of inhalation and exhalation lies a subtle stillness, an imperceptible gap where neither in-breath nor out-breath is present. With refined attention, you can detect this momentary pause. At the end of each exhalation, the pregnant hush before the next inhalation. Rest in this pause, as though it were a soft cushion cradling the play of breath. Notice that in this silence, there is no sense of absence, rather, a fullness beyond form, a potent field of possibility waiting to be engaged. This very pause is an entryway into boundless awareness. When you abide in that space, you touch the unconditioned dimension of mind that exists beyond the conditioned flow of sensory events. You realize that awareness itself has no breath, no limiting characteristics, no beginning or end. It is unbounded, timeless, the source from which all breaths spring and to which they return. By familiarizing yourself with this rest, you morph your practice from momentary mindfulness into a continuous abiding in the luminous ground of being. To reinforce this insight, practice a gentle mantra. On the in-breath, mentally intone, infinite, and on the out-breath, boundaryless. Let the words align with the sensation of breathing, not forcing or altering rhythm, simply resonating with the natural flow. Over time, the mantra and the breath become so intimately entwined that the distinction between meaning and feeling dissolves. You no longer need the words. Awareness itself vibrates with the recognition of its own boundlessness. In the dynamic currents of modern life, it is all too easy to overlook the transformative power lying in each breath. Stress, distraction, and digital noise fracture attention, scattering the mind across time and space. Yet the breath remains a steadfast anchor. Return to it 1,000 times if necessary, each return an act of liberation. Whether you are waiting in line, stuck in traffic, or in conversation, allow the breath to root you back into the present. Feel how even a single conscious breath can reset neural patterns, cultivating clarity, calm, and resilience. As the practice deepens, integrate breath awareness with compassionate intention. Each inhalation becomes an opportunity to receive the collective sigh of humanity, our shared longing for relief from suffering. Each exhalation becomes an offering of ease and well-being to all beings. In this way, breathing becomes both personal and universal, a cycle in which your own healing merges with the healing of the world. Silently dedicate your practice. May every breath uplift and liberate all sentient beings. Feel the heartfelt aspiration radiate outward, carrying warmth and resolve through the interconnected web of life. In the threshold between wakefulness and sleep, breathing practice becomes especially potent. As drowsiness softens the grip of thought, the breath naturally slows and deepens. Allow the body to yield to gravity and the mind to yield to the breath. Notice how the quality of awareness shifts, less entrained to narrative, more spacious. In this liminal state, you can rest in the infinitely subtle oscillations of prana, the life force where each atomic motion sparkles with the energy of awakening. Let this practice carry you into the dream realm, sustaining the continuity of presence even when the senses withdraw. Morning arises and evening descends, but the practice of breath and boundless awareness transcends these cycles. Whether the breath is quick or slow, labored or effortless, stormy or serene, it offers an antant portal to the unconditioned. Your task is not to manufacture special states, but to recognize the ever-present dimension of awareness that underlies every state. In doing so, you transform the simple act of breathing into a sacred rite, a daily invocation of the luminous ground from which all phenomena emerge. By the end of this chapter, you will have moved from ordinary breathing to sacred breathing, from automatic, physiological rhythm to conscious embodiment of boundless awareness. As you integrate this practice, observe how your relationship to stress, discomfort, and change evolves. You become a still point amid the swirling currents of life, a lighthouse guiding your own passage and inspiring others by example. Tonight, as you surrender to the gentle embrace of night, return once more to the breath. Feel its intimate presence, its boundless freedom, and its unwavering guidance. Rest in the dance of inhalation and exhalation, watching how each cycle reflects the infinite interplay of emptiness and form. And know that with every breath, you awaken more fully to the truth of your own limitless nature, here, now, and always. Chapter 14. The Light of Universal Mind. Transcending individual boundaries. Begin by lying in stillness, letting the body rest deeply against its support. Feel the pulse of life coursing through every cell, the subtle electrical hum of synaptic currents, the rhythmic dance of inhalation and exhalation. Allow the boundaries of skin and bone to soften in your awareness, as though you were an island, gradually merging with the ocean that surrounds it. In this softening, sense the porous nature of the self. Thoughts, emotions, and sensations pass freely in and out, revealing the permeability of the ego construct. As twilight deepens into night, the veil between wakefulness and sleep becomes a fertile ground for the dissolution of the personal self into the vast expanse of universal mind. In this chapter, we embark on a profound exploration of how the practices we have cultivated, mindful presence, compassion, wisdom, and boundless awareness, converge to reveal the luminous continuum that underlies every form, every thought, and every heartbeat. By transcending the confines of individual identity, we open to the realization that at the deepest level, our essence is shared with all of existence, a radiant flow of consciousness unbounded by the illusion of separation. From this vantage, the boundaries between self and other begin to blur. Visualize someone you know, perhaps a friend, a family member, or even a figure you hold in aversion. Imagine that you are breathing in unison with them. Your in-breath merges with their out-breath, creating a continuous loop of shared life energy. See how the membrane of individual skin dissolves in this shared field. This meditation, sometimes called vase breathing or twin flame practice, fosters the direct experience of intersubjective resonance, a somatic knowing that our true nature is not confined to personal identity, but emerges in the communion of heart. In Buddhist terminology, this realization is known as the recognition of the universal mind, or citta, the dimension of awareness that is prior to any personal narrative. To access this spacious depth, gently bring your attention to the point between the eyebrows, the Ajna chakra, in yogic terms, the seat of insight in many contemplative traditions. With each inhalation, visualize drawing the boundary of personal identity inward, like focusing a lens to a pinpoint. With each exhalation, imagine the lens widening, dissolving back into boundless space. This rhythmic convergence and divergence trains the mind to oscillate between focused self-awareness and open universal consciousness. As you settle into this practice, you may notice how habitual thought patterns attempt to reassert the solidity of the self. stories about the day, plans for tomorrow, recollections of the past. Simply note these narratives as thinking and allow them to drift away like leaves on a stream. Neither grasp at their meaning nor reject their presence. Simply observe their transience against the backdrop of universal mind. In doing so, you cultivate the third eye of insight, an unperturbed witnessing that perceives both the movement of thought and the stillness of awareness. In the threshold of sleep, these practices weave into the fabric of dreams. As lucidity arises in dream state, recall the feeling of universal mind, resting in awareness beyond form. Notice how dream characters, settings, and narratives reflect the projections of the personal mind. Yet beneath their surface lies the same luminous continuum you have encountered in meditation. By applying lucid awareness to the dream realm, you reinforce the dissolution of ego boundaries and anchor the universal mind in both sleep and wakefulness. Throughout the night, when you sense your mind stirring, whether through dream imagery or subtle shifts in sensation, allow the practice to be simple. Return attention to the seamless field of awareness, noticing how it enfolds all phenomena. When dawn approaches, you will awaken not only to the form of your body, but to the ever-present expanse of consciousness in which that form arises. By morning's light, carry this realization into the world of form. Engage each activity, breathing, walking, speaking, listening, from the vantage point of universal mind. Notice how actions motivated by a sense of shared being radiate a different quality. Your presence becomes a silent offering of unity. Your words carry the warmth of interconnected hearts. Your movements reflect the harmony of a boundless stream. In daily life, moments of stress or conflict become opportunities to practice the light of universal mind. When the sense of personal boundary tightens, need for approval, fear of loss, agitation in the face of challenge, pause and rest in the awareness that witnesses these states. See how the feeling of separation is merely a temporary contraction within the broader expanse of consciousness. Then allow the contraction to relax, expanding back into the universal field. This practice not only alleviates personal suffering, but transforms interpersonal dynamics, as your presence dissolves barriers and invites others into the shared domain of awakening. Ultimately, the path of emptiness and form, of boundless breath awareness, and of universal mind converges in the single realization that your true self is not anything you can own or possess, but the very openness in which all phenomena reliably appear. This realization is neither abstract nor theoretical. It is a living presence that colors every thought, every deed, and every dream. In gatherings, conversations, and collaborations, notice how collective intention emerges when individuals tap into universal mind. Meetings guided by presence and shared purpose flow smoothly. Decisions arise from collective wisdom rather than fragmented viewpoints. Conflicts dissolve in the recognition of shared heartbeats. By cultivating the light of universal mind, you contribute to a field of relational awakening that uplifts communities, organizations, and societies. Chapter 15. Cultivating the unshakable heart. Resting in the ground of inner strength. Tonight, and every night, may you awaken in the boundless heart of universal consciousness, rejoicing in the unity that transcends all limits, and living as the light that shines in every being. As this chapter concludes, rest in the silence that remains. When thought subsides, feel the gentle glow of universal mind pulsing in the heart, without cause or object. Let this luminous awareness guide you through the threshold of each breath, each step, each encounter, until the last boundary dissolves and the dance of awakening unfolds in every flicker of perception. As the night deepens and the world outside your window drifts into silence, there remains within you an uncharted territory waiting to be explored, the heart's hidden sanctuary of unwavering resilience. In this 15th chapter, we journey into the fertile soil of vigilance and courage, sowing the seeds of an unshakable heart that stands firm amid life's storms. Through guided reflection and gentle practice, you will learn how to rest in the ground of your own inner strength, even as you surrender to sleep, so that when dawn arrives, you awaken, not only rested, but fortified by the abiding power of awakened presence. Lie comfortably on your back, letting your limbs soften and surrender to the support beneath you. Place one hand over your heart, feeling the steady thrum of life beating there, an ever-present metronome marking the rhythm of your existence. Feel with each inhalation how the chest rises and expands to welcome fresh air. With each exhalation, sense how it gently falls, releasing tensions, worries, and doubts into the night's embrace. In this simple cycle of breath and heartbeat, you touch the first thread in the tapestry of inner strength, the intimate partnership between mind and body, woven together in the living fabric of awareness. Bring your attention now to the quality of your mind as it drifts toward rest. Perhaps thoughts from the day still flicker at the edges of awareness, unfinished conversations, lingering anxieties, plans for tomorrow's luggage. Notice them without judgment, as though scanning the sky at dusk and observing passing clouds. In Buddhist practice, this gentle watching is called mindfulness, the foundational practice that allows inner strength to arise naturally. By acknowledging each thought or feeling as simply here, rather than good or bad, you free yourself from the struggle against your own mind, creating a spacious field in which resilience can flourish. Within this field, cultivate the intention of fearless presence. Silently repeat to yourself, I rest in my own strength. I stand firm in the ground of awareness. Feel these words echo in the heart's chamber, resonating with the pulse beneath your hand. These intentions are not magical incantations, but guiding lanterns, illuminating the path toward your own innate courage. Each repetition deepens your familiarity with the unshakable heart, like chiseling a rough-hewn stone into a polished vessel capable of holding vast reservoirs of calm and clarity. To deepen this sense of rootedness, practice a brief body-mind unification exercise. On your next inhalation, scan slowly from the soles of your feet to the crown of your head, noticing any spots of tension or discomfort. Rather than resisting these sensations, allow them to be part of the mountain's terrain, crags and ridges that give it character. With each exhalation, imagine sending a soothing wave of warmth and softness into each area, smoothing the rock face with the gentle power of presence. In this way, you learn that inner strength is not the absence of difficulty, but the capacity to include every facet of experience, pleasant or painful, within a field of steady attention. As your breath slows and the mind settles, turn your attention to the notion of steadfastness, the capacity to remain unmoved by outer turbulence. In the Buddhist tradition, this quality is embodied by the image of a mountain, majestic, rooted, and unwavering in the face of shifting weather. Visualize yourself as that mountain, your spine the bedrock, your breath the gentle wind that caresses your slopes without altering your immovable core. No matter how strong the gale, the mountain stands. As you lie here, let each breath reinforce your sense of being grounded. Inhale solid, exhale unmoved. From this embodied stability, direct your focus to the heart center, where your hand rests. Sense the subtle warmth and energy that emanates from this space. In Buddhist practice, the heart is both the source of vulnerability and the wellspring of courage. When we open to our own fragility, we discover the spring beneath the desert of fear. Allow yourself to feel any tremors of uncertainty, perhaps a dull ache of worry or a flicker of self-doubt. Name them gently. Here is worry. Here is doubt. Naming creates a space between the emotion and the self, revealing that you are not defined by these passing states, but remain the open awareness that witnesses them. As the body grows heavier and the mind more tranquil, introduce the practice of loving kindness for inner strength. On the in-breath, silently intone, may I be strong. On the out-breath, may I be free from fear. Let these phrases intertwine with the breath's rhythm, so that intention and sensation become inseparable. Over time, you will sense these qualities shifting within, your energy consolidating, your mind stabilizing, your heart opening like a lotus in moonlight. There is no rush. Allow the practice to weave through your system naturally, like water nourishing the roots of a mighty oak. In this spacious field, cultivate compassionate courage, the willingness to face your own fears with kindness rather than aversion. Envision the parts of yourself that feel small or insecure: the shy child, the perfectionist mind, the self-critic's harsh voice. Invite each aspect into the heart's warmth. May you be held. May you find strength. Feel how even the smallest tremor of self-compassion nurtures a profound courage that reaches beyond mere bravado. This is the gentle armor of the awakened heart, not a hard shell that blocks vulnerability, but a soft embrace that allows you to include every part of yourself in the circle of care. Beyond individual reflection, recognize that inner strength is reinforced by our connection to others. Even in the stillness of night, you are part of an invisible community of seekers, saints, and ordinary souls, all resting under the same sky. Draw your attention to that sense of shared journey. Envision faces, mentors, friends, ancestors who have modeled resilience in your life. Offer a silent bow of gratitude and imagine their collective support as a pillar of light behind your spine. Feel their presence infusing you with confidence, reminding you that you do not walk this path alone. As drowsiness deepens, turn your attention to the threshold between waking and dreaming. In that delicate liminal space, the mind is open to subtle suggestions and transformative insight. Recall a challenge or fear you face in waking life, perhaps a difficult conversation, a looming decision, or an inner sense of inadequacy. Hold that situation gently in awareness without elaborating a story around it. Instead, rest your gaze on the open expanse of awareness itself, like the sky behind a flock of birds. Notice how the scenario arises within that space, but does not diminish its vastness. In so doing, you strengthen the habit of locating fear within the ground of inner strength, rather than within the story of the problem. To honor this network of support, engender compassion for collective strength. On each inhalation, draw in the strength of those around you, loved ones, fellow practitioners, the very earth itself. On each exhalation, share your own budding resilience with the world, imagining waves of courage radiating outward from your heart into the lives of others. This practice dissolves the barrier between self and other, for you discover that your inner fortitude and the world's well-being are inextricably linked. By morning's gentle light, the practices of the night will have woven themselves into the fabric of your psyche. You awaken not only refreshed, but with a palpable sense of solidity at the core of your being. The heart that once fluttered with doubt now beats with measured confidence. Challenges that once seemed insurmountable appear as opportunities to exercise the stillness you have nurtured in darkness. The unshakable heart stands ready to meet the days unfolding with clear vision and steadfast grace. This practice seeds resilience that carries into your dreams. Should you find yourself stirred by an unsettling dream, cultivate a stance of mindful curiosity rather than alarm. Note the dream's emotional tone. Here is discomfort. Here is anxiety. And then return attention to the spacious awareness that witnesses the dream. You may find that the dream's power diminishes, its narrative shifting into harmless imagery. In this way, your sleeping mind rehearses the same fearless presence you cultivate in waking life. Throughout your waking hours, sustain this thread of inner strength by weaving moments of contemplative pause into your daily routine. A few mindful breaths before a meeting, a brief hand-to-heart practice when anxiety stirs, a silent repetition of "May I be strong" in traffic jams or grocery lines, all serve to rekindle the lantern of resilience you lit before sleep. Over time, these small gestures become a natural reflex, anchoring you in the ground of awakened presence. Now, As you drift fully into sleep's embrace, rest in the quiet power you have cultivated. Let the pulse of inner strength continue its steady cadence, guiding you through dreams and into the dawn of a new day. Know that within you lies a sanctuary beyond fear, a wellspring of courage, deeper than any challenge. Cultivate it nightly, tend it daily, and it will carry you unwaveringly toward the belonging, freedom, and joy that await on the path of awakened living. In the years and nights to come, difficulties will arise, loss, conflict, uncertainty. Yet the heart that rests in its own strength knows no final defeat. Like bamboo bending in the storm, yet never breaking, you embody a resilience born of deep awareness and tender compassion. That unshakable heart becomes your true refuge, a sanctuary you need only turn toward in any moment of distress. Chapter 16. The Unshakable Heart. Returning to stillness, you may have noticed that the strength you sought at the beginning of this journey is not the kind the world celebrates. It is not strength made of muscle or defiance. It is not loud or armored. The strength you have cultivated here is a quieter one, a strength made of surrender, of resilience, of clarity. It is the strength that allows you to sit with your discomfort without running, the strength that watches your thoughts without believing them, the strength that forgives, the strength that weeps when it must, without shame, and then silently continues. This strength is not dramatic. It is simple. It is natural, and it is yours. It begins in the silence that follows the storm. You have walked far, not only through these teachings, but through the long corridors of your own life. You have listened deeply. You have allowed your breath to lead you through valleys of impermanence, of fear, of hope, and surrender. Each word you have taken in, each pause you have honored, has brought you to this quiet shore, where nothing more needs to be said. And yet here we are, speaking once more, not to add something new but to let everything settle. This is not the kind of ending that wraps things up neatly. For truth does not arrive with a bow tied around it. Truth lives in the unfolding, in the gentle turning of the mind back to the present. So now, as we bring this long meditation to a close, we do not summarize, we return. We return to the place we began. Only now we are not searching for answers. We are resting in the knowing that there is nothing left to find. You have not become someone new. You have, rather, stopped trying so hard to be someone else. This is the essence of all Buddhist practice, not to improve, but to uncover, not to climb toward an imagined self, but to rest in the selfless awareness that has always been watching, always listening, always waiting. That presence is here now. Even as you listen to these final words, it is here. It does not judge you. It does not measure your progress. It does not care whether you are spiritual or not. It simply is. The mind may still chatter. The emotions may still rise. But something within you now knows how to remain. Something within you has learned to There is something deeply courageous about your presence here. Not everyone is willing to sit with the discomfort of stillness. Not everyone is willing to look inward. Not everyone dares to let go of the masks that fed them. But you did. Maybe not all at once. Maybe not perfectly. But you listened. You were present. You endured the silence. And in doing so, you began to return to yourself. Throughout this journey, we have passed through teachings on impermanence, suffering, acceptance, mindfulness, compassion, and more. You may not remember every phrase or every story. That's okay. The truth does not live in the memory. It lives in the body, in the breath, in your willingness to be here now, exactly as you are. If something shifted in you, it was not because of the words, but because you allowed space. You gave yourself permission to pause. And in that pause, the world rearranged itself, or rather, you finally saw the world as it has always been, changing, beautiful, uncertain, alive. And that is enough. There is a kind of beauty that appears only after long silence, a kind of knowing that comes only when the noise has fallen away. This beauty is not decorative. It is not exciting. It is deep, subtle, timeless. It does not need to impress. It simply is. You may begin to notice it in your everyday life, a sense of quiet, even in motion, a feeling of belonging even when alone, a calm that is not dependent on circumstances. This is the fruit of the path. Not ecstasy, not perfection, but peace. The peace that arises when you stop trying to escape yourself. There is nothing to fix, nothing to chase, nothing more to do. You may notice that returning to yourself is not about becoming something. It's about releasing the need to prove, releasing the need to hold, releasing the illusion that you must be anyone other than who you already are. The mind will still tell its stories. That is its nature, but now you know they are stories. That knowledge is freedom. That is your strength, only to be. You are the space, not the story. And now, as you prepare to rest, let this final offering be not a farewell, but a reminder, a gentle voice that stays with you long after the recording ends. That voice is not mine. It is yours, the one that speaks from within the stillness, the one that knows how to return. It does not ask for attention. It does not shout. It simply waits for you to listen. It waits for you to pause. And in that pause, everything becomes clear. You are the breath, not the tension. You are the mountain, not the storm. You are the watcher, not the thought. You are the silence beneath all sound. All teachings point back to this, not as a belief to hold, but as a direct experience to live. There is no need to grasp these words. Let them dissolve. Let them fall into the silence behind their eyes. Let them go. And in the letting go, notice what remains. You are the light, not the shadow. Awareness, stillness, peace. So now, sleep. Not because your work is finished, but because your mind is ready to rest. This peace is not the reward for effort. It is what has always been here. It is what you are. Sleep, not to escape, but to return. Let the silence hold you. Let the breath guide you. You are already home. Let go. And in this home, you are always enough. Let the teachings settle into your bone. Let the night carry you. Let this moment, just as it is, be sacred. There is nothing more to say. Thank you for listening. Only this. Now rest, beloved listener. Thank you for being here. Thank you for remembering. And you always were. You are the strength you've been searching for.